What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, movies, and television news, streaming live for you guys today over on YouTube, along with Facebook, along with Twitch, ladies and gentlemen, and also dropping these episodes on our Spotify channel for you audio-only listeners, guys. We definitely appreciate you certainly joining us here for another Sunday as we go ahead and wrap up the hottest topics from this week, along with some honorable mentions that we certainly felt you guys deserve to know. And this is also a very special day for us here at A+ Hero Report, as we are officially celebrating 1,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we have officially broken 1K, and the momentum just continues to build around here, guys. So listen, if you love our content, please certainly subscribe. Feel free to share these videos. Feel free to like these videos. Certainly talk about it amongst your friends as we go through certainly all these topics, because we certainly couldn't have gotten here without your guys' support. So thank you very much for continuing to come back each and every week and spreading the word about A+ Hero Report, as we have officially broken 1,000 subscribers. Not quite close to the monetization as of yet. I do think we've got a couple more watch hours certainly still to go here, but again, the momentum is certainly building. We definitely appreciate all your guys' contributions to the channel. But it's not just myself today that's going to be bringing you guys the news. We got our buddy, as always, good old Stuart Branscombe in the house. What's up, Stuart? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, good to see you. Glad to be back.
How are you feeling now owning the channel that's past 1,000 subscribers? Do you feel empowered right now?
Yeah, no, it was actually really exciting because when I was at work and I was like looking at my phone, I noticed that the channel was at 991 subscribers. So basically for my shift, because it was so slow, there was nothing going on. I'm just going up to coworker after coworker and being like, hey, I have a channel called A+ Hero Report. Could you do me a quick favor and just subscribe to it? You don't even have to watch any of our stuff. We're just really trying to hit 1,000. So I got to like all of them. And by the end, I think we were at like, it was like 998 subscribers, and then I think Indy got the other two, so it was like that's what got us over that 1,000 subscriber mark.
Yeah, I feel like you and Indy have been doing some recruiting here. Indy in his own questionable ways of getting some subscribers, but we ain't gonna talk about those here today. Listen, we appreciate everybody's effort to certainly go ahead and bring in new viewers, along with keeping up with our subscribers here, guys. So thank you very much to everybody that certainly has been a part of our channel, that's seen some of the roller coaster rides, whether you've been here since A+ Opinions, whether you've come over from another channel on A+ More Phenomenal, maybe your carryovers from Stuart's previous channel before it went ahead and got upgraded to A+ Hero Report. We always appreciate everybody's views and thoughts. So thank you very much, guys. Unfortunately, we could not have Indy here with us today to certainly celebrate, but I'm sure he's probably somewhere chugging a beer if he's not currently at work. I wanted to have a beer today, Stuart. I really did. So instead of switching up to beer, I unfortunately went from hot coffee to cold coffee today. The girlfriend convinced me to get some cold coffee. I'm usually a hot coffee guy. What about you?
I think I got extra Lagunitas, so I can just like toss one to you, if you need.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure I could throw all the way to Texas. How hard could that be?
Hey, man, if you've got a beer, crack one open. It is 5 o'clock somewhere, but it is time to celebrate. So let's see here. Let me go ahead and give some shout outs since we are thanking those that have certainly subscribed to our channel over the years. Francois Dupont, because we're international superstars, Stuart. We got Adam Perea in the house. The most talented band in the world is certainly here with us today. We got Jackson Peterson in the house. Congrats on 1K pizzas. I wish it was 1K pizzas. Me and that girlfriend would tear up 1,000 pizzas. Chris Crossman, what's going on, man? Good to see you as always, buddy. Adrian Perez certainly in the house. Jericho Gonzalez here with us today too. I'm assuming this is Tarek the Mofo Knight that's now going by Oliver the Mofo Queen Green Arrow. That's a mouthful, man. I'm just going to call you Oliver going forward. Michael Rhymes, what's going on, Michael? Good old Carlo Bernardo in the house. Kurt Marino certainly joining us today. Good old Carter Matthews in here. We got Danny Morales. Of course, one of our favorites, Morgan Hutchinson in here saying, good morning, beautiful people. We got Abase joining us today. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Nicole Robertson in the house. We're certainly doing fantastic today. Roberto Buena is certainly here. Congratulations on 1,000 subscribers. We really appreciate it, man. Good old John Schuyler's here. Because, like I said, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Jack Daniels is certainly joining us today, along with good old another Stuart in here, Stuart.
Oh
Good
yeah.
old Blossom joining us. Enrique Perez having us in here today. We got Sexy Mofo joining us. He says, please say it. I was the last person to give you 1K. I don't know. I don't think that was you, Sexy Mofo. I'm pretty sure that wasn't you, but I'll give you a Dino Knights Fight for Your Rights just for you. But I'm pretty sure that wasn't you.
I mean, you
Good.
definitely contributed, though. You know,
You
every
definitely
subscriber
contributed.
counts.
Yeah, you definitely have contributed for sure. We definitely have seen you around here, Sexy Mofo. Good old Datilla, which if you guys have not checked out our predictions, we did a SummerSlam predictions video. We collaborated with Datilla, who does have her own wrestling YouTube channel called Rangers of Wrestling, because she's a big Power Ranger fan also. But if you love wrestling, definitely check out Datilla's stuff. I haven't had the opportunity to finish watching SummerSlam right now, but I'm pretty sure she swept us. I'm pretty sure she kicked our ass in predictions here. So, Sexy Mofo says, "You guys gonna get drunk on camera to celebrate?" Nah, man. Unfortunately, not. I'm assuming this is Indy. Shots. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Indy. What else we got? My mom's in the house with the congratulations. Appreciate it, Mom. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think I got everybody. So thank you very much for certainly everybody definitely coming through today. A quick honorable mention. I think Oliver wanted us to mention something for anyone attending Power Morphicon. I guess this would probably go in our honorable mentions section, Stuart. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Honorable mentions for you guys today. Thanks to Oliver for bringing this up. I probably should have grabbed the tweet or the couple of picture slides I was looking for. But anybody in attendance for Power Morphicon this year, which is a Power Ranger convention that usually happens yearly out in, I think, either Pasadena or Anaheim, California. They're having one in person finally for this year, and unfortunately, there's been a threat. Stuart, have you seen this online? There's
No,
Yeah,
I haven't.
there's been a shooting threat. Some crazy ass fan, if they even want to, I don't even want to call him a fan at this particular point, but he had put some posts out there, some tweets out there talking about, liberals at Power Morphicon better watch out, yada yada yada. Really threatening to go ahead and give them a lesson, sort of thing. Really threatening to go ahead and shoot people up and stuff. Really merging his political views, unfortunately, with his fandom, that people aren't even asking for his views on things, but he wants to certainly press them on Power Ranger fans. And so Power Morphicon, I believe some people have reached out to Power Morphicon, those in charge, and they have, I believe, mentioned that not only have they given the police officers and the FBI this gentleman's name, I believe they are currently investigating the guy. So I think there's maybe a month or so until Power Morphicon. So hopefully this certainly gets resolved. But I know Power Morphicon has mentioned that they will have security there, or at least some police officers that are either in uniform or not uniformed, in order to hopefully protect people at Power Morphicon. So trust me when I say, guys, if you are going in attendance, just be very much aware of your surroundings, if you will. Definitely take care of yourself, take care of people around you. Also, I'm really hoping Power Morphicon certainly has this locked down as best as they possibly could. But always keep an eye out wherever you certainly go, man. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't hear about it, Stuart.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't either, because I'm actually like attending this year. So hopefully they take this very seriously, like they
Uh,
say they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have retweeted it a couple times off of my page. So if you are looking for it, you could probably find it somewhere up on my Twitter account. But yeah, definitely be careful out there.
Yeah,
Stuart,
thanks for mentioning that.
yeah, absolutely. His name is Gabriel something. I can't remember what his last name is, but he put out like 5 or 6 different posts talking about harming people, and yeah, it was just really atrocious to read. But that's unfortunately, man. This is the world that we live in. It feels like these days. So it feels like you can't go anyplace that's safe. So just be very much aware of your surroundings, your exits. Just
Hmm.
still have fun, but just keep your head on the swivel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Outside of that, some much better news, hopefully. Okay. Do you have any honorable mentions or any recommendations for us this week, Stuart?
Honorable mention wise, we got this might be more of an anime assembling, or sorry, anime assemble type of news, but Kamen Rider W, I believe the anime adaptation is now streaming on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, Fudo P, ladies and gentlemen. The sequel to Kamen Rider W. This originally, I believe, was a manga. And I think they're adapting the manga to an anime for Crunchyroll. But yeah, this is all part of Toei's expansion, it feels like, to get Kamen Rider more out there into the public, to especially to the Western side of things here in the States, as they really have aligned with Crunchyroll to go ahead and bring this to us. Have you checked that out at all?
Not yet, but what excites me is because my girlfriend's like into anime and everything. This might be the first Kamen Rider series I'm able to convince her to watch. So we'll see
Very
how that
nice.
goes.
Have you seen Kamen Rider W?
No, not yet. In fact, I actually was planning on watching it before the anime sequel
Yeah, me
came out,
too.
but I haven't gotten around to it yet. So I'll probably try to binge that show, and then therefore, by the time I'm done binging it, there should be like a few episodes of Kamen Rider W already out. So it'll just mean I got something else to binge afterwards.
That's a great plan, man. That's a great plan. I appreciate you bringing that up because I've been really looking forward to that. It's been a minute since I talked about it, since we haven't had more phenomenal in a while. So, but I definitely have been keeping my eye out on that. So thank you very much for bringing that up. Let's see here. For those of you who don't know, also when it comes to honorable mentions, a new trailer drop. This is more on the movie side of things. You know, Stuart edited my top 7 most anticipated films for the remainder of 2022, and one of the films that was up there was a movie by the name of Blonde, starring Anna de Armas playing good old Marilyn Monroe, one of our fantastic icons here in the States from years back. They dropped the brand new trailer this past week, and I feel like, Stuart, the more and more that I look at these trailers, man, it continues to draw me in, as it seems like it's going to be really focusing on the struggles of Marilyn Monroe as she tries to, I guess, balance not only fame but also her own humanity and who she certainly is as a person. And maybe it'll definitely show the struggles of like being how a massive celebrity when it comes to Marilyn Monroe, like she certainly was back in the day, also a sex icon and things like that, right? Still trying to juggle your own personal life. Because even in the trailer, it almost seems like this is, well, this is I want to say it's a fictional sort of like biography. I don't know how accurate some of the storytelling is when it comes to Marilyn Monroe, but it also almost feels like a little bit of a thriller. Like, I don't want to say horror elements, but you could really see that there's clearly an emotional struggle for her in this trailer. And I love Anna de Armas. I think she's an amazing actress, and she fits this role of Marilyn Monroe from just the trailers I've seen perfectly. Have you had the opportunity to check out the trailer at all?
Not the new one, but yeah,
Mhm.
everything I've seen from the trailer that I was putting in for the video that you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's going to be a very interesting movie. I'm always intrigued when it comes to like early lives of or sorry, early like 1900s celebrities, because that tends to be when like Hollywood used to not only like kind of control the way the media would talk about you, but basically they kind of like took over your lives essentially if
Mhm.
you were a celebrity back then. So it's understandable that like a lot of people, like, I mean, not trying to say it's like easy for celebrities nowadays. Like obviously, there's still a lot of things that kind of suck about the way the studios like handle certain situations and things like that. But nowhere near as bad as it used to be. And I look forward to kind of like seeing how Marilyn Monroe had to struggle with like kind of that Hollywood lifestyle back in the day.
Absolutely. And this will be available on Netflix for you guys September 28th. So definitely go ahead and check it out when you can. Another honorable mention here for you guys. Fantastic Four is back in the news here this week. As Kevin Feige, Stuart, mentioned that Fantastic Four is not going to be an origin story. Hallelujah. Do you hear the angels singing right now? This is not going to be an origin story. How do you feel about it, Stuart? I mean, we've seen a couple iterations now of Fantastic Four. Are you cool with them not revisiting that for the MCU, or is that something you kind of want to see through the eyes of the MCU?
Nah, I mean, I really don't need to see it because I've seen it, both in the, I believe they did the origin story in like the cartoon series back in the day. And then, of
Mm,
course, we saw it in the 2005 movie. We saw like a weird version of it in the Fox, or I guess technically they're both by Fox, but, the Fan Four Stick movie, which I wasn't the biggest fan of.
yeah.
But yeah, all that being said, we've seen it enough to where it's like, I feel like even if you yourself haven't seen their origin story personally, it's not too hard to like kind of piece it together, whether or not someone tells you about it or whether or not it's just a line drop in the movie. I don't think it's like important enough to take up an entire act of the film. I think that them just going straight to them having powers in the movie, I think it's a very MCU Kevin Feige decision, and it makes a lot of sense because they did the same thing with Spider-Man.
Yeah, and it worked out perfectly with Spider-Man. I don't think anybody was complaining. Why don't we see the death of Ben Parker again? I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's complaining about that. So yeah, you're absolutely right there. But yeah, so Kevin Feige has mentioned Fantastic Four will not be an origin story. And then last but not least, real quick, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity of reading these set of books, Stuart. The Eragon. They were pretty popular back in the day. They have tried to make a live action adaptation of these books in cinema form that unfortunately just fell by the wayside, and just did not pick up the steam that it needed to. But it's coming back, Stuart. Aragon TV series is currently in development over at Disney Plus, of all places. It says the series would be based off of the Christopher Paolini young adult novel series. It says Paulini will serve actually as co-writer and executive producer of the series. It says the search is currently on for a showrunner, though. So Paulino won't be the showrunner, but he definitely will be helping put together the some of the script for this particular television series. I've always thought that this was a great book to certainly be adapted. I thought this was honestly going to be like the next big thing because I believe I read the first two books in this franchise. But the movie just really undercut it, and the terrible reception to it, terrible box office. It just did not stand a chance, unfortunately. Have you checked out the movie? Have you read any of the books? And if not, though, how do you feel about them taking another shot at this for Disney Plus?
Haven't read the books or seen the movie, but I do know of the books because I think my brother was like super into them back in the day. So I love fantasy. So anytime they want to adapt one of these fantasy books into a full length, either movie or a TV show, in this case, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go ahead and give it a shot, man. I, I don't know. It's one of those things where sometimes things you try and adapt it in a movie form. Maybe there's sometimes too much information to put into one movie. Sometimes the idea of a television series certainly might work when it comes to adapting novels, especially when you've got a series of books also. So it's in hands of Disney. I feel pretty confident about it. But we'll see how it turns out. Again, this is in early development for Disney Plus. But I think if you're going to take a shot on trying to revive this, I think this is the best opportunity that you have.
Yeah.
All right, I think that does it for honorable mentions today. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask you, Stuart? Have you checked out The Gray Man on Netflix yet with
Not
Chris
yet. No.
Evans and Ryan Gosling?
Not yet. But yeah, again, saw the trailer from that, so I didn't even realize it was out already.
Yeah, it dropped on Netflix like last week, I believe, or the week before. I have not finished it as of yet, but regardless of what I think about it, it's getting a sequel. They're continuing to expand that particular franchise. So another one is coming, ladies and gentlemen. So if you enjoyed the first Gray Man with Ryan Gosling, there is certainly more out there for you.
Yeah,
Um,
Netflix has been getting really expensive with a lot of their movie productions because this movie and then Red Notice, they've been getting quite the cast for those.
yeah, man, and it this definitely helps. I think that the Russo brothers were attached to this, especially with their connection to Chris Evans, to certainly go
Mhm.
ahead and bring him in. So I think that was a great move. But we'll see. We'll see what Netflix winds up doing. It wouldn't surprise me if they continue to jump on board with the big blockbuster type movies, especially with a bunch of big name stars to hopefully help bring up their subscriber count. So we'll see what happens with Netflix over the next couple of years for sure. Um, all right, Stuart. Other than that, I think it's time to get into our main topics. Are you ready to go ahead and tackle these with me, man?
Always.
I personally think, Stuart, we've got a plethora of great topics to definitely dive into today, man. Over on our Facebook page, if you guys are curious, this is where we pull all of our stories from that we've dropped throughout the entire week. If you're not checking out our Facebook page, please do. We definitely keep you up to date throughout the week there. In the 6 topics that we got, I feel like for the most part have been the stories that have not only reached the most people, but also got the biggest reactions and sets of comments. And the world of the MCU, Stuart, is vastly changing here. As last week we wind up having San Diego Comic-Con. We wind up giving you guys a huge recap episode. We even put out a couple of videos in regards to the upcoming phases to certainly look forward to. We even did a little bit of a fill in the blanks for phase 6 in regards to what titles that have not been announced that we personally think might be dropping for phase 6. So we've been very much in our MCU bag, trying to make some predictions, doing some speculation. All those videos are certainly up on our YouTube page. Definitely go ahead and check it out. One of the announcements when it comes to phase 6 movies that we wind up getting, Stuart, was Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, and then quickly followed by Avengers Secret Wars. 2 Avenger movies, 1 year in 2025. And this week, Stuart, we finally got a little bit more details in regards to Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, at least in regards to who the director of that movie is certainly going to be, as we certainly have a ton of questions. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Let me go ahead and pull up this article here for you guys real quick. We're going to go ahead and dive into this. This is from The Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, to be directed by Shang-Chi filmmaker Destin Daniel Cretton. This is, in fact, an exclusive report. If you guys have been following us for a while now, I've been singing the praises of Destin Daniel Cretton from what he did in Shang-Chi, even hoping that, hey, can this man do a Dragon Ball Z movie at some particular point in time? I would absolutely love if he did something like that. He's been attached to the Wonder Man series. He just had a huge exclusive deal with Disney also. Things are looking up for Mr. Cretton here. So let's go ahead and dive into this article and see what they're talking about. It says, since the climactic wrap-up of Avengers Endgame, which closed a chapter of the MCU known as the Infinity Saga and grossed almost $2.8 billion worldwide, Marvel Studios has focused on introducing new heroes and pushing ahead with sequels starring some of its top characters. But as revealed by Kevin Feige, Marvel's Saturday presentation at San Diego Comic-Con, the Avengers are assembling once again with back-to-back movies for 2025. Destin Daniel Cretton, who helmed last year's Marvel hit Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, has come on board to direct Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, is what Hollywood Reporter is exclusively revealing. Cretton is already well encompassed in the Marvel family. In addition to directing Shang-Chi, which grossed $432 million worldwide, he has an overall deal with Marvel that he signed in the wake of Shang-Chi's success. As part of that, he is developing with Andrew Guest, a writer-producer on comedies such as Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Community, a live-action series featuring Wonder Man that he will executive produce and possibly direct an episode or more of. He also has Shang-Chi sequel currently in the works. It is unclear who is writing Kang Dynasty Avengers movie or what heroes would even make up the team's roster for a story that helps close out Phase 6. Feige laid out a timeline that sees Kang Dynasty arrive May 2nd of 2025, and then Avengers Secret Wars hitting November 7th, 2025. So let me go ahead and throw this over to you first, Stuart. You hear the big news. Shang-Chi filmmaker alum himself, Destin Daniel Cretton, has been blessed with a fantastic opportunity in front of him here to go ahead and direct Avengers Kang Dynasty. What are your thoughts on hearing this addition to the movie?
I'm calling it now. This movie is going to have some of the greatest fight scenes ever seen in any Marvel movie. And I say that because the fight scenes in Shang-Chi were insane, really well choreographed, really well thought out and everything. And that was before he got all powered up. That was when he was just kind of, street level at this point, because, he doesn't even have any superpowers at this point. He's just really good at fighting. And we already get like a really cool bus fight scene, and we get a really amazing
Oh
scene
yeah.
that was like a fight scene like on this building. So now I'm kind of like wondering, you're taking that same director and you're letting him direct, like, because we got to assume this is a full-on Avengers team up. So we got to assume there's going to be at least 5 or 7 superheroes on this team, right? So we're going to see the same director take those kind of fight scenes, but now with like a diverse, like power, like with diverse superpowers, everyone having their own like kind of unique power going on. I'm excited to see more than anything some of the cool combos we're going to get. This is like, I'm thinking this is going to feel the way that like wrestling fans feel whenever a new WrestleMania is going on. I feel like that's how Marvel fans are going to feel watching this movie.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, man. I did absolutely love the fight sequences that we wound up getting from Shang-Chi. You mentioned combinations. For some reason, the first one that always comes to mind is the Iron Man and Captain America move from the first one, when Tony flies in and he uses his unibeam
Yes.
on Cap, and Cap uses his shield to deflect it to go ahead and kill some people. I always thought that was pretty cool. I was always a big fan of Hawkeye and Ant-Man on the tip of his arrow from Endgame. I thought that was pretty cool. Also, I think that was from Endgame. I can't quite remember what scene that was. But yeah, man, we've had some great combinations of fight sequences. So yeah, I think he's definitely going to bring it to life. And I think also, I don't know who's going to be the writer for this. So I am kind of curious to see who Marvel winds up picking up in regards to doing the writing duties. Because one of the things that I did love about Shang-Chi was, I really enjoyed not only the chemistry that the actors certainly had with each other, because it really brought the emotional level, if you will, of these characters up a notch for the Shang-Chi movie. I would like to kind of see that same element too when it comes to the Kang Dynasty movie for sure. I think from a directing point of view, this is a huge win for him. I thought Shang-Chi for me is still like one of my favorite Phase 4 movies that we've gotten so far. I think out of Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi is like right there for me in regards to my second favorite. And I'm sure it's probably some people's first favorite movie that we've gotten so far when it comes to Phase 4, as far as like a solid, just really great introduction, origin story for a character. Probably one of the best origin stories we've had in a long time. And you can certainly see why Destin Daniel Cretton has been thrust into this opportunity that he certainly has gotten so far. So I think this is a huge win, man. I truly do. I would be interested to see who his writer's going to be for this. You definitely got to bring somebody on that is used to working with a huge ensemble cast that's certainly proven themselves perhaps before, like Destin certainly has. I do wonder if maybe Michael Waldron from Loki and Doctor Strange, if he might be involved in here, or maybe a Ryan Coogler. I would definitely love an opportunity for him to tackle an Avengers film also when it comes to the writing side of things. But overall, I think this is a huge win. Kang Dynasty is going to be incredible. You got to think, Stuart, with Destin a part of this, Shang-Chi is probably going to be a part of this particular team, along with a huge list of others as well. But I think this is a huge win, man. Talk about a really great way to build momentum for these Avenger films. Do you think we'll find out the writer at D23 or no?
I hope so, but I'm not going to get my hopes too high up for that. So I'm not. I don't think so, if I'm being honest.
No, I get you. I definitely understand that. Real quick shout out though to good old Ram Jam for certainly coming through today. Just want to give him a shout out. Good old MJ for certainly coming through. Says Phase 6 got to be the Mutant Saga. We'll see. We'll definitely see how that turns out, MJ. Blossom agrees with you though, Stuart, saying the fight scenes were insane. Plus
Yeah.
that dragon they summoned was so freaking cool. I mean, geez, oh Jody, yeah, that was pretty epic. To say the least. We got Sarav. What's up, Sarav? Good to see you in the house. He says, it seems like the Avengers series has sort of a 2-film plan for the directors. The first 2 were directed by Joss Whedon, the next 2 by Russo's, and now Destin is directing these 2. Just to clarify, he's only directing 1. They have not attached him to Secret Wars. I think because of the fact that they're coming out the same year, I would assume production's got to be done separately, or do you think he might tackle both of them, Stuart? And just doing back to back.
It
Like, I
really
wonder how
depends
that
on
works.
it depends on how connected these 2 movies are. If they want him
Mm,
to be like if they want Secret Wars to be like a direct sequel,
right.
then yeah, I think having him direct both would be the smarter move. But if they're trying to have it be like 2 separate movies that have like either 2 different teams of Avengers or just, 2 very different things going on, then yeah, I think that then you'll get like 2 separate directors.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just to clarify, Saraf, he is not directing both films. He's only directing Avengers Kang Dynasty. And I'm kind of starting to believe that this is going to be a huge event sort of set of films to wrap up phase 6. And I mean that, Stuart, in the sense that I think the event truly begins in Kang Dynasty. I do think those 2 middle dates that have not been revealed will just continue to add and build up towards the grand finale. So I do think that there will be connective tissues, but just really big monumental 4-part movie, if you will, to crescendo when it comes to phase 6. I think it would be sort of another way for the MCU to do kind of what they did with Infinity War, yet we had those 2 movies an entire year apart. So I think instead of separating them like that, man, I would love just 4 bangers back to back to really build up to Secret Wars. What do you think about something like that?
I 100% agree with you. Like, I think the one biggest missed opportunity they had for Avengers Infinity War and Endgame is like between those movies. I wish they had at least 1 or 2 movies, or if the shows at the time were more connected to the movies, it would have been so cool to kind of like see how the world was coping with half the universe like completely
Mm.
gone. For like a full movie where that's not even the plot, that's just like an element of what's going on, but it's not even like what the movie's about. So I feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity that they had. And so I hope that here with King Dynasty, I hope it ends on something like really big that like changes the Marvel universe. And then we get to see like what that's like for the next couple of films before we get the closure with the Avengers Secret Wars, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. So we'll see how Marvel Studios winds up handling this. But our first inklings of Avenger information has certainly dropped again. Destin Daniel Cretton officially attached as the director for Kang Dynasty. Guys, we certainly want to know your thoughts. How hyped are you about this particular news? Do you think he certainly deserves it after the monumental impact that Shang-Chi has certainly had? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. So Rob says, I hope we see Jonathan Majors flex's capabilities some more there. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think he's going to absolutely destroy this role. Kevin Feige has been really talking highly about Jonathan Majors for sure. And anybody that's certainly worked with him. I mean, everybody in the cast of Ant-Man and Wasp just praised this guy. I think they can see just how wide of a range he has in regards to his abilities. If you thought, him playing, that character in Loki. I can't remember what they referred to him as. For some reason, I always want to fall back to either Kang or Immortus, but I'm sure there was another name that they had for him in Loki. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm excited to kind of see the different variants that Jonathan Majors is able to tap into, because it would not surprise me if we see him again, not just in Ant-Man Quantumania, Quantumania, but maybe also another big movie before we even get to Kang Dynasty. What do you think? Do you think there's an opportunity to see him in more times than just Ant-Man and Kang Dynasty, Stuart?
I have almost no doubt that we're gonna get more of him between those 2 movies. I think like Ant-Man will be the first one where we get to see like what a villain version of this character will look like, and then I think like in between those movies, we're gonna get other versions of him, and those versions of him are gonna be warning like the
Mm.
Marvel universe essentially about the ultimate evil version of him. That's how I think they're gonna do it. They're gonna be like, oh, you thought this was a really bad Kang? Well, wait till you see the Kang that's gonna be coming soon. And I think that'd be kind of a cool way. You get like individual heroes struggling to fight against just one king that's like, not even the top king. And then you get to the Kang Dynasty and you could probably see like a full army of kings. And it's like, that's what our Avengers probably are going to have to face. So that's going to be,
Yeah.
you need a talented actor to pull off something like that if you're going to have them playing multiple characters that way. And we saw how good he was in Loki, so I'm really excited to see like what he's going to look like as a villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and see like him bring a whole new performance to the role.
Yeah, and most definitely. Me too, man. There's a part of me that is hoping he pops up in maybe Fantastic Four also. Just because I think his alias is Nathaniel Richards, if I'm not mistaken, in the comic books at least. I think that's one of his variants. I
Like,
believe
correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't he like the great grandson of
grandfather.
Reed Richards?
I believe so. I would believe so. So I would love to see him pop up maybe in a Fantastic Four movie also. So Rob
I
does
feel like
ask.
that would make the most sense. In fact, like if they wanted to, like you could have Fantastic Four technically existing in another universe to the MCU, and then have Kang be the main villain of that movie, and that could be how it ties into the MCU, though,
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it's
you
still the
could.
same actor.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's not far fetched, especially with what they usually tackle in Fantastic Four comics. So Rob says, could we see the Russo brothers returning for Secret Wars, especially since they expressed their intent to adapt it early on? I believe Kevin Feige has come out and said, no, I don't believe that they are attached to Secret Wars at all. They have talked about it openly for years. Like, if they were going to return to the MCU, they would love the idea of doing a Secret Wars movie. But I think Kevin Feige has outright said no, they have no plans on returning for Secret Wars. Do you believe him? And do you think that they maybe have plans for the Russos for something else? Maybe like an X-Men movie?
Hmm. For now, I'm gonna say no, and not because like Kevin Feige wouldn't want them back. I feel like they're kind of just enjoying not being part of the MCU, enjoying like their MCU profit and being able to use that profit to do their own like kind of actual passion projects.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I don't think it's gonna happen, but never say never.
Yeah, never say never for sure. But yeah, the Russo brothers definitely have a lot on their plate as of right now. All right, guys, and with that out of the way, we will move over to our next topic, another topic within the MCU, as we are inching ever so closely to the upcoming Disney Plus series in She-Hulk. That's right, the Tatiana Maslany-led series. That's supposed to be, I think, a 9 or 10 episode sort of comedy law series, certainly headed our way here relatively soon. We've been talking about it. I think they even dropped a brand new featurette in regards to the She-Hulk production certainly coming together, which I absolutely love this featurette, Stuart, really showcasing her not only breaking the fourth wall, but the levels of comedy that we're definitely going to be getting in here, her relationship with Bruce Banner. I think it even showcased some brand new footage, like the accidental sort of blood transfusion that maybe certainly turns her into She-Hulk certainly going forward. If you haven't checked out the new She-Hulk featurette, please go ahead and do so over on our Facebook page to kind of get even further insight. But this week, Stuart, one of the stars as we continue to build and market and promote this upcoming series, one of the stars actually sat down for an interview and hinted at the idea that when it comes to She-Hulk, there's going to be a lot more cameos in this particular series than people are truly expecting. And if you think you know who's certainly coming, you might be mistaken. Let's go ahead and dive into this, Stuart, because I thought this was pretty fascinating. And let's see if we can guess maybe who might be popping up in the She-Hulk series. This actually comes to us, I think, from comingsoon.net. She-Hulk will feature a lot of cameos from MCU newcomers, it says, Stuart. It says, in the latest trailer for She-Hulk, fans got a glimpse of what looked to be Daredevil showing up in his original costume for the first from the first few issues of his comic book series. However, speaking to Deadline following Marvel Studios Hall H panel at San Diego Comic-Con, it says She-Hulk writer Jessica Gao teased even more cameos, many of which have never existed in the MCU. Let's see what she says here. Oh, I think I might have. Did I mute that, Stuart? I think I might have muted that. Hold on a second. Let me bring this back up here. She-Hulk. There we go. Let me start this over.
A lot of fun, a lot of cameos, and a lot of characters that have never existed in the MCU before that we're pulling out of the comic books. And what I'm most excited about is really getting the time and the space to explore this character fully, because in the Marvel movies, it's always these high stakes events. The universe is ending. Half the people in the entire existence are getting snapped out. And we never really have the time to really explore like who these people are, like what are their regular lives or what are their regular lives like. And what's really nice about this is we actually get the time and the space to do that.
So yeah, she says it's a lot of cameos and a lot of characters that have never existed in the MCU before that we're pulling out of the comics. Any idea, Stuart, as to which characters she may be referring to that we have yet to even see pop up in the MCU?
I think one like the two big ones that we could get, because technically we haven't got them like necessarily in the MCU yet, but I think Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are a
Oh,
huge possibility because we've
yes.
gotten them in the Netflix series. And then another one, this is all wishful thinking though. I really don't think we're going to be seeing this character anytime soon from Marvel, just because of everything in the real world. But it would be awesome if the Punisher also made an appearance in the show, but I don't see it happening at all. But yeah, I think like those type of characters, I think we're going to see like a lot of street level characters that also haven't even been introduced in any of the shows yet, which we kind of saw a few of them like in the trailer, like characters that we haven't seen in the comic books before, or sorry, characters we've seen in the comics, but characters we haven't seen in the MCU. So I think those might be some of the characters she's also referring to.
Stuart, if I could be honest with you, man,
Mm-hmm.
you took all my damn answers.
Oh, damn.
You took all my you took all
Sorry.
my I had the Punisher in my back pocket, like, man, wait till they hear this one. But you got me, man. You got it. That's what I'm personally hoping winds up popping up, even if it's just John Bernthal in a cell, as Frank Castle, like he's been captured. He needs a lawyer for something that's happened. I don't think it's too far-fetched. And I think even in I don't remember if it was this series, because the Daredevil's popping up everywhere these days, but I thought that there was something about him trying to hunt down or trying to look for Jessica Jones. I don't know if that was something that was supposed to happen in She-Hulk as to why he's in the series. I don't remember if that's in the Echo series. Heck, I don't even know if that's in his series, Stuart. He's everywhere. But I do know that he is looking for Jessica Jones. So maybe she does pop up in here. I don't think you're too far-fetched, especially with the Luke Cage call. Who knows what he certainly has gotten himself into. I think it would be a really great way to introduce the Netflix MCU sort of street-level characters in this series. I'll even go on and throw in, who is Bruce Banner's buddy from the comics? Is it Rick Jones? Sometimes I always want to say fucking Rick James, and I know that's not his fucking name. Rick Jones. I believe it was like his sidekick or like one of his buddies for a while. And I think Rick Jones even turned out to be, didn't he turn out to, I'm gonna be thinking of him as another character that the Hulk used to fight alongside with. Doc Samson, I think, is who I'm thinking about also from the comic. You know what? Put Doc Samson on there too, because I believe, let me just make sure he is the correct character. Hulk Doc Samson. Yes. Give me Doc Samson. I'll go ahead and put him in the series. Also another strong man in the MCU. So yeah, give me Rick Jones. Give me Doc Samson, since you're going to be taking Punisher, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones away from me. But that's who I certainly would like to see pop up in here. So yeah, man, it should be fun though. Part of me was gonna say Squirrel Girl, but I was just trying to think of like people that might be either in trouble with the law or just other supporting characters that I've seen from She-Hulk or even the Hulk comic books themselves. So give me Rick Jones, give me Doc Samson, and you've got Punisher along with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. I think that's pretty good. I think those pretty good guesses, Stuart.
I got one more, but I can't remember the character's name. But he's going to be in Spider-Man freshman year, and he was one of the people that took up the mantle of the Hulk in the comic books.
Amadeus Choi.
Amadeus Choi, that's his name.
Yeah, Amadeus Cho, I believe.
Oh, Cho. Okay. I think that he'll be in She-Hulk, but not as like a Hulk yet. I think he'll just be like a regular character like in the show.
I like it. I think that's another good call. So yeah, all these characters I don't believe technically have been in the MCU. Yeah, they've been on Netflix, some of them, but I don't think I think we're learning that's been kind of separate, but I do feel very much like we might be onto something here. But
Yeah.
we'll see. If you guys have any suggestions of characters that have not been introduced to the MCU that could be included as a cameo on She-Hulk, who would you certainly like to see? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, because I think we're even getting some obscure character by the name of like Frogman in this series too. I'm not familiar with their connection to She-Hulk from the comic books, but you know, they're definitely going to be in here as well. So some good stuff to look forward to. What's your hype level for She-Hulk, Stuart? It's going to be here before we know it.
Given that for me, when it comes to cameos, I kind of prefer a more comedic tone for cameos, and this show is supposed to be a comedy. I'd say my hype is pretty high for this show.
Yeah, I didn't know where my hype level was at first. It's taken me a while to come around, but I feel like over the past 2 weeks, the marketing and promotion for this series has really taken a turn for the positive for me, and has really made a lot of these trailers so much more fun to definitely watch. And I can't wait to go ahead and dive into this. And we get 9 to 10 episodes. I feel like this is the most that we've gotten from a Disney Plus series in quite some time. So I'm really looking forward to it, honestly. All right, guys, but let us know your thoughts. So Rob does say, I think Luke and Jessica are far more likely to pop up since they're the ones that match She-Hulk's vibe the most. Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure. So Rob, so I think you and Stuart certainly might be onto something there. And just so you guys know, in the future, we will be reviewing She-Hulk for you. Indy, I believe, is going to be tackling the She-Hulk series. But Stuart, if I don't know if what your schedule is looking like, but if you want to go ahead and tag team She-Hulk with Indy, feel free to go ahead and reach out to him. But She-Hulk will be reviewed for our channel. So if you are looking for a home for your your She-Hulk reviews, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification, guys. All right, Stuart. With that out of the way, though, I think it's time we dive into our next topic. And we're going to go ahead and transition a little bit here from the MCU to the DCEU, Stuart, as we got our next topic for you guys. There's been a lot of news going around lately in regards to the development for Aquaman 2 and the Lost Kingdom. One of the news that wind up coming out this week was the idea of maybe a huge character from the DCEU popping up in Aquaman 2, as Jason Momoa himself went ahead and posted on his Instagram picture a picture of himself along with good old Ben Affleck, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. So it's definitely been teased that it seems as though perhaps Batman, Stuart, is going to be popping up in this particular film as well. Is he going to be underwater? Is he going to be drowning? Who certainly knows? But from cave to Atlantis, it seems as though Ben Affleck is certainly going to be in this movie. Let's go ahead and dive into it. This is from people.com saying Jason Momoa teases Ben Affleck may return as Batman. Bruce and Arthur are busted on set, is what it says here. Let me pause this real quick here. It says, is Ben Affleck dusting off his cape? The Academy Award winner, 49, fueled rumors that he's returning to the role of Batman in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. As Jason Momoa shared some photos Thursday of their recent bro down on the Warner Brothers lot, where they were clocked by fans on a tour. Warner Brothers and rep for Affleck did not immediately respond to people's request for comments. Momoa previously teased on his Instagram story that he's back on set and can't tell you what I'm doing as it's top secret, while promoting his reusable aluminum bottles, which were made available in his trailer. All I can say is thank you to one of my favorite production companies for having me and taking care of the environment, because I can't say much more, Momoa says, but good things are happening. And here's a couple of photos of Ben Affleck along with good old Jason Momoa here. Looks like the tours busted him. Looks like they wind up seeing him. It says the actor, the Aquaman star, later shared a video of himself cracking up after a tour group apparently happened upon himself and Ben Affleck leaving set. It says, well, it's not a effing secret anymore, is it? Momoa said as he filmed the fans laughing on the tour bus before apologizing for cursing in front of the kids. That's what happens, Warner Brothers, when you walk out of your set and there's our fans. Well, we tried to keep it a secret, is what he said. So I'm assuming shortly after or before that happened, they wind up taking these photos. So yeah, Stuart. He also wrote on his post, reunited Bruce and Arthur. Love you and miss you, Ben. Warner Studio Tours just explored the back lot, all right. Busted on set. All great things coming. Aquaman 2. All my aloha, Jay, Momoa wrote in his caption. So Stuart, saying the evidence here, the amazing photos of Ben and Jason together, the tour that apparently busted them coming out of his trailer, seeing the two of them together, and just the caption that he wind up leaving. Do you think that this means Ben Affleck is going to be in Aquaman 2?
Yeah, what I think happened is originally, I believe Michael Keaton was meant to make a cameo in the Batman movie, or sorry, not Batman, sorry, in the Aquaman movie, playing Bruce Wayne. However, I think that because of the Flashpoint being pushed back like till next year, obviously, like, you know, people going into Aquaman would be incredibly confused as to why he's teaming up with a completely different Batman than what we saw in Justice League. So I think that's what it was, is that they wanted to do some reshoots. So Michael Keaton scenes were reshot with Ben Affleck. I think that's what's going on there. But either way, yeah, I do think 110% we are going to get Ben Affleck in the Aquaman movie, which, you know, surprises me because, you know, for me, it always sounds like anytime he's talking about the role of Batman, like it never sounds like he's talking about it in a very positive light. In fact, I even put on my Twitter, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to watch Batman make a 30-second cameo in front of a green screen where he has that face that just says, I wish I could be anywhere but here. But that said, like, my guess as to why he's willing to do this is because, like, if they have him kind of playing a minor role in other people's movies where there's not really as much pressure on him, there's not really that full-on commitment that he has to make, I think he's a lot more willing to do those type of roles as Batman instead of, like, you know, having a big role in a Justice League movie or having his own Batman solo film.
You know, I definitely would agree with you there in regards to why he prefers maybe doing these roles instead of maybe coming back fully as the Cape Crusader. You know, listen, you are right in the sense that when, you know, listen, when it comes to Ben Affleck, he's always been a big nerd his whole entire life, right? I mean, we saw him in Mallrats. We know his love for comic books. We know his love for the Batman character as a whole. Like, him getting an opportunity to play Batman truly was a dream come true for him. But you can quickly see the pressure, the expectations, if you will, the studio fumbling behind the scenes, really caused, I think, Ben Affleck to go down a very dark path in his life to the point to where we've heard Ben Affleck say, you know, being Batman just not only wasn't enjoyable anymore, but it was really detrimental to his lifestyle, right? Really putting a lot of pressures on him. He had some health issues and things like that due to it. And since he's had his time away from being Batman, you know, him coming back to do small cameos here or there, even in the Flash movie, and now here in Aquaman 2, I do think that he is in a completely different mind state and point in his life where he can reprise his role as Batman and have a lot more fun. You know, I feel like the changes that are happening at Warner Brothers maybe have opened up more opportunities, people that he has enjoyed working alongside a little bit more than some of the toxic relationships that were happening in Warner Brothers back at the time. So I do think you're right that these smaller roles definitely work for him. But I do think Ben approaches them a lot differently than what he certainly used to. See, I know you're under the impression that this might have been the Michael Keaton originally, but for some reason, there's a part of me that has always thought that Ben Affleck was either a part of the reshoots or always a part of James Wan's story to begin with. Because I do think that even though that they've moved and delayed and moved movies and things like that around, I guess there's a part of me that was always under the impression that Aquaman 2 was always supposed to come out before Flash. I could be wrong. Definitely go ahead and I might have to like Google like original release dates for a couple of these films, because I was always under an impression it would come out before the Flash, but maybe I'm wrong there. If not, then you might be right in regards to this role might have belonged to Michael Keaton. But I kind of like the way that they're utilizing Ben Affleck as Batman in here. It continues to make connections to the DCEU that we've had before. This whole pushback of, hey, we don't want to do anything Snyderverse related. I can respect that by Warner Brothers, but that does not mean that you can't have these same characters. I think for me, when they say if they don't want to explore the Snyderverse anymore, then just don't take the ideas and the storylines that maybe Zack Snyder had in play, but still utilize the characters that you have and just create a different path for them and a different storyline for them. And the fact that they continue to utilize Ben Affleck in cameo roles, I think is great to continue to make those further connections to the DCEU to still make it feel like it's all connected in some way. But I'm not honestly expecting Ben to have a huge role in here. I mean, maybe 5 minutes. Wouldn't be surprised if he's in costume, or maybe not even in costume. He could just be Bruce Wayne meeting up with Jason Momoa. Like, what if Bruce Wayne is taking like a transport from the Batcave to Atlantis, just to meet up with Arthur somewhere underground or underwater. I think that would be pretty cool to kind of have some sort of meeting or secret layer that they can kind of connect on. Utilize these characters as long as you can, especially when we don't know what the future of the DCEU is certainly going to hold. And I think when you've got big characters and actors like Ben Affleck that does warrant that type of attention and gets that type of praise from the fans for his particular role, keep using them, man. Don't let their contracts expire or just let them sit on the sidelines. Same thing with Henry Cavill. Like, why haven't they reached out to him to do little things like this, right? They certainly could. But I feel like this has always been, especially since Batman versus Superman, a Ben Affleck centric universe, as he feels very much like the glue that holds the team together, especially after the events of Batman v Superman, with the death of Superman and him getting the Justice League together. It makes sense that he would certainly be in this movie, as much as a surprise it is. And I think they meant for it to be a surprise, especially considering this was handled in reshoots and not during the actual production of the film. But I could certainly be wrong in there. But I think it's exciting. Do you like the way that they've been handling him?
Hard to say, because like, as an actor, I think he's been doing a great Batman performance, but like the only time I ever really liked him as Batman really was in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, because in Dawn of Justice.
And I love that in Dawn of Justice.
Yeah. I mean, I loved his performance in Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the writing around him in Dawn of Justice. And then in Joss Whedon's Justice League, that was when I just didn't really like either. I didn't like his performance or the writing around his character. Justice League was like the first time it felt like they got him right, but it also felt like the first time where his character wasn't even meant to have like kind of an arc. It was like he's kind of the same character at the beginning of Justice League as he is in the end of Justice League. So I think that's kind of the role where it's easiest to write him, when they don't have to give him an arc and they can just make him kind of the mentor figure. So I feel like that's the type of role that we're going to be seeing him in more often if we get more of him in the future, which, I mean, obviously we're getting him in this and then also in Flashpoint, but if we get anything more from him beyond Flashpoint, I think it'll be like more mentorship roles type of thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, because they even used him in the David Ayer Suicide Squad movie too. His meeting with Amanda Waller at the very end. I was a big fan of that sequence and stuff. So I feel like when Ben Affleck pops up, whether it be as Bruce Wayne or Batman, it's always a pretty good use of his time, I personally feel like. But so yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to this moment. Sarav does say, this is Enrique. Is Aquaman 2 might get a DC team up with Batman in the sequel? It certainly feels like that. How much screen time do you think he might get in this film, Stuart?
I feel like it won't just be a glorified cameo. I feel like he will actually play an important part, but not an important enough part to take away from Aquaman. I think it'll probably be one scene, but it'll be like a scene where they really utilize him in it.
Yeah, and Saraf says, and Ben Affleck is dressed in a black suit. There is a part of me that thinks that maybe this is a Bruce Wayne cameo over a Batman cameo, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong here.
I mean, that would make the most sense because, like, I don't know. I don't know what Batman could really do for Atlantis, but like Bruce Wayne could do a lot because he has a lot of influence on the real world, with his money and stuff. So I feel like Bruce Wayne could help out Aquaman way more than Batman can.
Yeah, like wouldn't that be crazy if he's like an ambassador to the above sea world and then the under the sea world? Maybe they're having like negotiations with each other. That would be pretty interesting to kind of see something like that.
I don't know why, because I thought of the scene from Justice League. I could see them having issues with someone like drilling, like near Atlantis, and Batman's solution is simply, "Oh yeah, I just bought the company. The drilling's gonna stop."
I mean, who knows, man? Who knows? They could really focus on things like that too if they wanted to. So I don't know, but I will say this: look, Jason Momoa, Ben together, great pairing. However, James Wan wants to certainly utilize Ben Affleck. I think he'll certainly use him the right way, and I'll take as much Ben Affleck as Batman as I can before we no longer have him, honestly. So I'll definitely enjoy this. Do you think there's a world, Stuart, where the new CEO, David Zaslav, while he looks at everything that he's got, understands the concept of multiverses? We got a Robert Pattinson as Batman. Is there any world that we live in, especially with Michael Keaton and Batman, that Ben Affleck sticks around at all after Flashpoint, or no?
I would say the possibility is a lot higher now than it was
Oh, you think
about
so,
a year
huh?
ago.
Okay.
If you had asked
Okay.
me this question a year ago, I would have said no, it's not going to happen. But with the new CEO, I feel like he'd be way more willing to accommodate for Ben Affleck, to keep him in the role of Batman. Whereas like before, it kind of felt like Walter Hamada's whole mindset was, okay, you either work, with on my pace or not at all. It felt like there was no like accommodation. There was no like trying to meet anyone halfway. It was just kind of like a very strict, you have to do it on my schedule and no one else. But I feel like a new CEO, one who's actually smart, if this guy is smart, he'll be like, okay, what can I do for you to convince you to stick around as Batman for a little bit? What would make you want to stick around as Batman?
Yeah, my thing would just be, can you juggle three different Batmans? Can
Mhm.
you somehow explain or have the general public understand? Listen, we've got our Robert Pattinson Batman in his own universe. Michael Keaton is now either the new Batman of the DCEU. Is there a place you could still fit a Ben Affleck Batman, either movie or cameos? I don't know, but I definitely do hope that they manage to certainly keep this guy around. If there are any other DCEU movies that drop before Flashpoint, put him in that movie too. If you can, if you can
Yeah.
put in some reshoots, who certainly knows? But we'll see. We'll see. I know some people are probably ready for something different, but I do love me some Ben Affleck, man. So we'll see how it turns out.
I do feel like we could have had a good miniseries with him,
Oh yeah,
especially with like Deathstroke as like the villain.
give
And
it to me.
HBO Max, like 8 episodes is all you would need, and you could tell like an incredible story with that.
Man, it's just a missed opportunity, man. It's just a missed opportunity that we never got a Ben Affleck Batman movie. I mean, granted, some people will say Batman versus Superman was that, but like just his own solo film would have truly have been great. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here, guys. But we want to know your thoughts. Are you expecting now Ben Affleck to certainly pop up in Aquaman 2, whether that be as Bruce Wayne or Batman? Do you think it's definitely going to happen? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And this kind of does lead into our next story too, Stuart, because the tides are changing when it comes to the DCEU, ladies and gentlemen. We've been talking about new management over at Warner Brothers Discovery for quite some time since the merger wind up happening. As new CEO, David Zaslav, who comes over from Discovery Plus, now taking over Warner Brothers Discovery. We've been really highlighting all the changes and the momentum that David Zaslav has been bringing, and really his new vision as to how he certainly wants to run Warner Brothers, hopefully for the positive. And hopefully, Stuart, this story here will not only get fans of the DCEU excited, but maybe bring some hope that things are definitely changing here when it comes to how they handle their movie industry. As I think we've mentioned this name before, Alan Horn, who has in fact been in close contact with David Zaslav, according to The Wrap, has officially been brought on board. I believe David Zaslav has mentioned in the past that, hey, we have talked, nothing official, but I've been getting advice from him. And it seems as though, Stuart, it is now official. According to The Wrap, Hollywood veteran Alan Horn joins Warner Brothers Discovery as senior advisor. This is an exclusive report, guys. And this might be a little bit of a long article, but we're going to read it to you anyway, so you can understand just the implications of having Alan Horn on board here. It says CEO David Zaslav brought him on as we transition our film business and hone our motion picture strategy. So Alan Horn is truly here to go ahead and help them direct their DCEU, certainly going forward. It says former Disney CCO and veteran entertainment industry executive Alan Horn is joining Warner Brothers Discovery as a senior advisor, The Wrap has learned exclusively. Calling him one of the most respected studio executives in the history or in the industry, CEO David Zaslav announced the news in a memo on Thursday. He says, I'm thrilled to share with you that Alan Horn, one of the most respected studio executives in the industry, has agreed to assist me in a consultant role during this transition period starting August 1st. So tomorrow, Stuart, tomorrow is the big day for Alan Horn. He says, no one knows this business better than Alan does. He has had an extraordinary career spanning nearly half a century. Most recently, he served as chairman and later co-chairman and chief creative officer for Walt Disney Studios, where for a period of nearly 10 years, he oversaw the production of all motion pictures and the integration of Lucasfilm and the Fox Film Studios, as well as the expansion into producing content for Disney streaming services. I mean, Alan Horn, Stuart, and Bob Iger were like attached to the hip in regards to what they were managed to do in regards to growing Disney and Disney Plus. It says, over the past 6 months, I've been fortunate to spend time with Alan. He's been generous and hugely helpful to me, and I've learned a ton about the business from our conversations. I could not be more excited to be able to continue to tap into his thinking, expertise, and stellar instincts as we transition our film business and hone our motion picture strategy for the future. He says, I know that my other coworkers are equally excited to have Alan's ear and to be able to benefit from his wealth of experience gained from such an illustrious track record. I'm trying to see. He knows the ins and outs of this studio and helped build it into the powerhouse it is today. He also has a widespread talent relations and a great respect and appreciation for our unparalleled collection of intellectual properties, and will be able to provide unique and valued perspective to the overall creative process. We're so glad to have him join us. And so it says this news comes less than a year after Horn's retirement at age 78 from Disney Studios content. I'm trying to see. It says those years included the long-lasting stint as president at Warner's, because he was part of Warner's previous too. He oversaw the franchises of Harry Potter, the Dark Knight trilogy, along with Peter Jackson's Hobbit as well. It says in this new consultant role, Horn is expected to help steer Warner Brothers Discovery through its merger transition, particularly as it relates to Warner Brothers Pictures and with freshly instated studio heads Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy. So yeah, man, big things are certainly headed our way for Warner Brothers Discovery with the help of Alan Horn. I'm going to go ahead and throw this over to you, Stuart. What do you think this acquisition means? Because I feel like we've talked about in the past Alan Horn maybe having the ear of David Zaslav, but this is David Zaslav really coming out and saying, yes, this is official. He's going to be my consultant in regards to really shaping the movie side of things. What do you think this means not only for Warner Brothers Discovery, but for DCEU going forward?
So for the Warner Brothers Discovery part of things, I think it's them being smart and knowing, hey, you know, we may not, we've been more on the reality side of entertainment. Basically, we're more about the reality shows. We're more about like the nature documentaries, those type of things. So if we really want to expand into making more scripted movies, more scripted television, we need someone who's like who's dipped their toe into that kind of success. So I think this is a very smart move on their part, so they can get like kind of like the insider knowledge that they may not have had viewing it as like a different company. Now they actually get the inside information from someone who's actually worked on a lot of these projects firsthand. So what I think it'll mean for the DC movies, and this might just be wishful thinking, but I'm hoping it means that they can probably plan things out just a little bit better than they have been before, and then hopefully being a little bit more, being more like organized about how they want to go about going on with different franchises, where they want to expand those franchises, how they want those to expand, like whether or not they want to make so with the Batman, for example, how they have like different spin-off shows coming out of that show that are connected to that but not connected to the DCEU. I feel like that kind of stuff is going to be kind of convoluted to do unless you got a CEO who really knows how to speak to both the audience and speak to their own company. So I think that those kind of decision makings are going to be what he's going to be in charge of helping them with. And so I think it'll hopefully make the DCEU or just DC films as a whole come off a lot more planned and a lot more organized, if that makes sense. You're muted.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think you're 100% correct in there. In regards to what it really could do for the DCEU, in regards to it being at least well planned out and thought out before they make any big moves. And I do think you're right, especially in regards to your first point. David Zaslav coming from Discovery Plus, where it is very reality based, very reality TV heavy, if you will. So to be able to kind of learn and pick up information on how to kind of run more of a movie side of things, the movie industry, having somebody like Alan Horn right beside you to go ahead and teach you what he certainly knows and give you advice, I think is a really great point that you wind up making in regards to him coming on board and at least understanding how to go ahead and create and put these film strategies together. I will say this, man. This does give me hope in regards to the DCEU. It truly does, especially when you're coming off of Flashpoint. You've got a whole nother year before that movie winds up dropping. This is a great opportunity to really have Alan Horn kind of teach you either how to rebound from this movie or where you go from this particular moment. If anything, for those of you who don't know, when it comes to Alan Horn, while he was certainly connected to Disney, a lot of that comes from his time in working with Marvel Studios also. It mentioned his time as CCO, Chief Creative Officer. I'm assuming that's what it stands for. At a point to where at one point Kevin Feige would have to go and report to Alan Horn. And some of the reports that I remember reading from Deadline back in the years, just how good of a partnership those two wind up having, just two creative forces combining to really help create and push the MCU certainly to where it was at this time. While Kevin Feige very much is the creative mind, understand before he kind of took over everything from the MCU creatively, he definitely had to team up with Alan Horn, along with going to Bob Iger as well. So those were always the big three. I think there was also a fourth Stewart, and you've mentioned him before, Ike Perlmutter or something like that. The guy that we were like, get this man out, right? Like he was just a hindrance, if you will. And they got Ike out. And instead of Kevin Feige reporting to Ike, which was always very much a clash between those two creatively, because I think Ike was very much a penny pitcher. And Kevin Feige just had a very bigger creative vision. And so once Ike was out of the way, in comes Alan Horn, who is like a less one middleman, sort of just taken out of the equation. And now you've got Kevin Feige going to Alan Horn, who's approving this, right? Sees the vision Kevin Feige has, maybe giving some insight in regards to how to lay it all out or plan it theatrically, sort of thing. So I think when you've got that level of success in regards to Alan Horn being part of Marvel Studios, being part of Disney, bringing that over to DCEU, it's kind of very similar to how we say, keep James Gunn around, right? Because he's been a part of the MCU formula. He's worked in the studios. He knows how to make successful movies. And you bring that mindset over to the DCEU. And it really changes the culture there when it comes to Warner Brothers Studios on their film side of things. So I think this is great. Having people like James Gunn, having people like Alan Horn in the ear of David Zaslav to hopefully really direct him in the correct path to build the DCEU up to where we've always thought it had the potential of certainly going. I think this is huge news, man. And I think this is nothing but a thumbs up in regards to the direction that the DCEU will certainly go. At the end of the day, though, the proof will be in the pudding. You know, what direction will they go? What's the schedule going to look like? Who do you bring on for director and writers for upcoming movies? But I think with Alan Horn, who's got a fantastic track record, this has got to be a big win, man, in my eyes.
Yeah. Crap. Oh yeah. And then the other thing, yeah, that you brought up earlier, you know, with James Gunn. Yeah, if Alan Horn is smart, he will do whatever it takes to keep James Gunn on board with the DCEU.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Blossom says, man, DC really has been getting a lot of changes, huh? Yeah, absolutely, man. The groundwork is definitely changing underneath DCEU's feet, or let's just say Warner Brothers Discovery in general. And I'm hoping that this is a very bright future, certainly going forward. So if we, I feel like as fans, if we've ever thought to ourselves, man, the DCEU could be so much better than this, I think this is as close to that opportunity of actually seeing that coming to fruition more now than ever. But I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that this certainly goes rather well. So yeah, guys, definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in regards to the massive changes that are happening over at Warner Brothers Discovery. Do you think the addition of Alan Horn is a fantastic one, considering some of his past accolades and studios that he's certainly worked for? I would recommend you guys read up a little bit on Alan Horn, see exactly what he's had his fingerprints on, his connection with Marvel Studios and things like that, just to better understand why this is going to be such a, hopefully a successful outing here. But good luck, man. Good luck to them. I really want to see them succeed. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, we've got two topics left, Stuart, that we're going to dive into. One television and one movie topic for us today. As the world of the Rocky franchise continues to grow and expand, Stuart, you know, we've gotten, what, 6 Rocky movies? We got 6 Rocky movies, right? 6? No,
yeah, 6 Rocky movies, and then so far 2 Creed.
Yeah, so far 2 Creed movies with Adonis Creed. Third one certainly set to go ahead and drop. You ask yourself, where can the Rocky franchise certainly go from here? We may certainly give the answer nowhere. I think this should wrap up the Rocky franchise. But ladies and gentlemen, we would be wrong because it seems as though there is another IP, or at least another character that certainly might get the opportunity to be explored in this Rocky franchise. And that in fact might be Drago himself, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. I will break him. If he dies, he dies.
He dies.
Yeah. It seems as though, according to Variety.com, the Rocky film franchise expands with a Drago spinoff. A spinoff of Drago. It says MGM is betting big on the House of Drago. The studio is developing Drago, a spinoff of Creed, which itself is a spinoff of Rocky. The successful boxing franchise stars Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa. It says Robert Lawton has been hired to write the screenplay. Can you look up Robert Lawton for me?
Yeah.
It says he has been hired to write the screenplay. He got the job after impressing MGM executives with his script Becoming Rocky about the making of the first Rocky film. According to the Wrap, which first reported the news of Lawton's hiring, though the studio didn't move ahead with his film idea, it appointed Lawton to build out a backstory about Russian boxer Ivan Drago, who took on Rocky in 1985. His character's son, Victor Drago, appeared in Creed 2, stepping into the ring against another offspring of Rocky's rivals, Adonis Creed. He says, I'm incredibly humbled and grateful for this opportunity. I'm approaching it as an enormous fan of the Rocky franchise who happens to be a screenwriter. There have been rumblings that MGM wanted to make a movie about Drago, but nothing has ever been officially announced. I think there's some talk about it doing a whole spinoff on Drago with MGM, is what Dolph Lundgren said back in 2021. So you may get more of that. It is unclear if Lundgren or Florian Montagu, who portrayed Victor Drago, will reprise their roles in the spinoff of a spinoff story. Plot details are certainly being kept under wraps. So I guess if anything, Stuart, we don't know the plot details. It says they don't even know if his son is going to reprise his role in the spinoff. And so it does make me wonder what type of story this is going to be. Is this going to be a very modern time story of father and son, kind of filled in with some historical moments from Ivan Drago's past? Or if this is going to be sort of like a period piece, and they're going to cast for a younger Ivan Drago, and give us something set maybe back in the 80s of Ivan Drago's life as he goes from, just amateur boxer to, scientific experiment boxer with all these drugs and machines and stuff to go ahead and build the perfect fighting machine over in Russia. I am kind of curious to see what his origin story was certainly like. We don't know too much about Ivan. It's been a while since I've checked out Creed 2. So I can't remember if they had moments between Ivan and his son Victor in regards to Ivan's past or not. But Ivan Drago's always been a fan favorite if you're a fan of Rocky. I mean, I always felt like Rocky had some of the best villains that he certainly faced off against. And so the idea of Ivan Drago always leaves fresh memories in my mind. And, I can see some people giving pushback to this in a sense of, oh man, now we're going Drago. Are we ever going to let these characters lie and sleep? I understand the pushback. I absolutely do. But I've loved Creed. I've loved what they've done with it. I've loved the Rocky franchise as a whole. And I enjoy the characters. And if you tell me you've got a really well thought out story of Ivan Drago that you certainly want to tell, I'm a big sports fan. I enjoyed these boxing movies. I might give it a shot. Stuart. So listen, I'm kind of curious to know how you feel about this. Is Drago one too many Rocky franchises to certainly get expanded? Or are you okay with this, or are you turned off? What are your thoughts about it, man?
Let me first mention the writer real quick, because I'm looking at their IMDb
that
page,
might change my opinion when
and so far they're credited for 2 things, technically 3. One of them is Becoming Rocky, which is labeled under. Yeah, it's labeled under in development, so we literally know nothing about it. Like, we can't even watch a trailer or anything for that. The other 2 movies are Crave, which came out in 2012. Know nothing about that. And then another movie I know nothing about he did in 2006 called Sex and Sushi.
Oh God, okay.
So that all being said, I know nothing about him as a person or a writer, so I don't know how the quality is going to be going into this. But speaking purely as a Rocky fan, because you know me, I love the Rocky franchise. I love almost all of the Rocky movies, maybe the exception probably being Rocky 5. But with that exception, I love Rocky. I love Creed. Those movies are freaking fantastic to me. I don't know how I feel about a spinoff for Drago, because to me, Drago, kind of similar to another iconic character that we all know and love, Darth Vader. He works so well in small doses that I just don't know if it'll work as well if he gets his own entire full-length feature. But the only way I could really see it working is if they go with the direction that you were talking about and make this an entire prequel movie. So have it be about his younger days of coming to the top, and suddenly, being used as as you put it, like a super soldier type boxer for, that the Russians basically built. So he becomes essentially a man machine type of person. I think that could make a good movie. But beyond that, I don't know, because like I feel like Creed 2 wrapped up his storyline, especially with his son and him like actually kind of, him realizing, wow, I was a piece of shit dad. What have I done? Like that moment I feel like was so beautiful that I don't need it to be expanded on anymore. We know like that things aren't going to be easy between the two of them going forward, but that's okay. That's all we need to know. We know that he feels bad about it, and that we know he's going to try to make a difference. And I feel like that was all the closure we really needed from Creed 2. So the only thing I could really see them doing is going back and talking about how this all started, basically.
Yeah, and just to build off of that, right? Because I would agree with you in the sense that their story ended really beautifully. There's as far as like, hey, can we get like a Victor Drago movie like his son? Nah, I don't really want that. If I were to get something Drago related, give me a prequel, because I would be fascinated. You bringing up the father relationship aspect of what we see in Creed 2. I wonder what Drago's relationship was like with his father. Did he become an asshole because his own dad was that same way? And this is like a full circle lesson for him to discover by the time that we get to Creed 2, right? Like, what was his family relationship like to drive him to maybe accept the idea of inject me with these drugs, bro? I need to become something famous or something, iconic or bigger than what I am now. I do think that there is potential there. And even though we don't know too much about this writer, I think the fact that he mentions that he was a huge Rocky fan, that drove him to wanting to make the movie about Rocky, about how the first film came together. If MGM was impressed by that so much that they said, you know what, we really like what you're doing here, we kind of want to see that in a more of a bigger feature film or series sort of aspect. I don't know what this spinoff is certainly going to be. I think if he's got that type of pulse and his finger on the pulse, I should say, to the Rocky franchise, maybe there is like a prequel sort of movie or series in here somewhere. So I'm going to be open to it. I definitely need to see more, especially the direction and trajectory of where they want to go with the storyline wise. But I'll be open to it until I see more, and then I'll go from there. But I do think there is some potential here. There's some potential here.
Yeah, I feel like the moment they announced that Dolph Lundgren is reprising his role, that'll be when I'm like, okay, never mind. It's not what I thought it was going to be,
Right.
and I really don't think they can make a movie out of this. So, okay, I'll still watch it. Like, even if I expect it to suck, I'm still going to try to go into this with like an open mind and, hope that the movie can like change my mind and persuade me, hey, this can work. Check this out. But yeah, currently as of now, my expectations are not very high.
Yeah, and yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts when it comes to Drago. In regards to the Rocky franchise, they're continuing to expand with a bunch of spinoffs. Is Drago something that you would be even interested in seeing in the first place, whether that be a sequel or a prequel? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. As a Rocky fan, Stuart, training montage you prefer, Rocky 3 or Rocky 4?
Dang. I gotta go with Rocky 4, especially just because we got one not just from the good guy, but we got like the bad guy perspective of the training montage too, and seeing them side by side I thought was awesome. Like, you see Drago has the advantage because he has like the better gym, the more expensive equipment, the steroids, but you got Rocky who's just got a mountain and he's gonna take advantage of everything. Like, he finds ways to work out using like, just the scraps that's around the cabin, the fact that he runs up these mountains. Like, yeah, I think like Rocky 4 has some of the best montages like in any sports movies, like ever.
Two moments from that training montage that always gets me, when he's doing I think he's doing the sit-ups from the fucking roof of the cabin that he's in. I think he's doing, or they're holding his legs and he's coming up and he's doing the thing. I can't remember how he did it. And then there was one where he's on like a bench press seat and he's like, his legs are elevated and he's bringing them down and he's bringing them back up again. I mean, just some incredible stuff. So I can't fault you for going Rocky 4. I will go Rocky 3 though, man. There is just something fantastic about seeing Rocky along with his boy. I can never remember Adrian's brother's name. The drunk. Paulie.
Paulie, yeah.
There's something great about seeing Paulie in the hood and just his like push back towards everybody. Just the most racist dude in the world. Absolute fucking Paulie's fantastic to me, man. I just love seeing those in there. Yeah, and for some reason, it's the idea of going back to your roots, right? Like becoming so famous, you almost forget how to train properly, and you need somebody that's gonna kind of help flip your training on a whole different course, whether that be him just learning how to jump rope properly, the little handball stuff, the little shadow boxing. I mean, you know how difficult it is to train a white man to learn rhythm. I mean, you know, seeing Rocky Balboa try and like hop along with Apollo, it's brutal to watch until he actually gets it. Like that's an achievement in and of itself, Rocky learning some rhythm. But you know, the beach running and stuff, I don't know, man. It worked really well for me. I really love seeing Rocky have to be forced to kind of go back to his roots there. So yeah, man, I don't think we can go wrong with choosing either or. It's really everybody's preference. But yeah, they got some great montages, bro. Great montages.
I will say, I think that the way Rocky 3's montage ends with Rocky and Apollo running together on the beach, like I think that was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, man, thighs just shaking, big old group hug and stuff in the ocean. I mean, look, it doesn't get as more bromantic as that. But it was great stuff, man. Great stuff.
I even love what it kind of leads to in the end, because you know one thing that doesn't really occur to you until you like watch the very last scene is like, hey, Apollo's also training like while coaching Rocky. So we don't know which one of them is more skilled by the end of Rocky 3. That's why when Creed came around and it was mentioned that Creed won that fight, I wasn't surprised. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't surprised. That makes sense. He was training along with Rocky.
Yeah, that's a great call, Stuart. It's a great call. A great call back to that Creed moment at the end. Yeah, because I didn't know that either. So it was a cool reveal. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. What's your love for the Rocky franchise? Do you have a great montage that you certainly like? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right, Stuart. And to wrap up our main topics for the day, we got certainly one more that we're going to be tackling here as video games being adapted into film is certainly back on the table here, ladies and gentlemen. As this past week, there have been some rumblings and some shakeups when it comes to the movie rights for good old Tomb Raider. That's right. We've had Angelina Jolie crush it as Lara Croft. We had Alicia Vikander in the most recent Tomb Raider reboot do a pretty good job herself also. And I think a lot of us were certainly sitting back and waiting patiently for a sequel that was supposed to have a brand new director in Misha Green. For those of you who don't remember her, Misha Green actually comes over from Lovecraft Country, if I'm not mistaken, from HBO Max. A fantastic show, to certainly say the least. That series was supposed to get a season 2, and that was unfortunately canceled. Tomb Raider 2 was, or at least Tomb Raider was supposed to get a sequel with Misha Green, and unfortunately, that's been canceled. Why, do you ask? Because it seems as though MGM has officially lost the rights to Tomb Raider, Stuart. So let's go ahead and dive into this article here, because the world of Tomb Raider is about to change. According to the Wrap.com, Tomb Raider bidding war has officially erupted as MGM loses the movie rights. This is an exclusive report from the Wrap. It says a host of Hollywood movie studios are in the mix for the IP franchise, Stuart. Who will come out the winner to create a new Tomb Raider movie? It says MGM has lost the film rights to Tomb Raider based on the popular video game, sparking a bidding war for the IP. MGM had until May of this year to greenlight a Tomb Raider sequel, and the window passed. A host of Hollywood movie studios are in the mix and put in bids, according to multiple insiders with knowledge of the project. Alicia Vikander, who starred as Lara Croft in 2018's Tomb Raider, is no longer attached to the project. Insiders add it's a complete reboot, and there are no casting or director commitments. Rights reverted to the game company. Then the game company and Graham King's GK Films made a deal to rep the IP. It says the 2018 movie earned nearly $275 million at the box office. The film is based on the popular video game starring Lara Croft. So yeah, the movie, Stuart, has officially fallen apart. They did not get the opportunity to go ahead and green light this film before a certain time period, and now the rights are just anywhere. Stuart, did you start the Rocky discussion, or did I?
The Rocky discussion, that was you, because
That was me. Okay,
yeah.
I started it out. Okay,
Eh,
so let me go to you first here. Let's go ahead and throw this over to
oh
you.
wait, no, sorry, I wasn't sure what you meant by that. No,
Oh, okay.
you started it then.
Okay.
Or no, I started it.
You
then,
started the
'cause,
discussion? Okay.
yeah.
So when it comes to the Tomb Raider bidding war here, listen, I will say this. I am kind of a little pissed off that MGM did not greenlight this sooner. I feel like Misha Green and Alicia Vikander have been sitting on their hands and feet for like ever for this movie to actually happen. I don't know exactly how far along in the production aspect this was, but there's a part of me that's got to think that maybe there was a script that Misha Green had already put together. And so I do wonder if maybe MGM themselves didn't have confidence in this franchise. Maybe they didn't feel that they were capable of creating the type of movie that they certainly needed to make after this film made 275 million. Maybe they didn't think when it comes to the sequel that it could make more than that. So I am kind of curious. And there is a part of me that's like, man, Misha Green is just not having the best of luck. Lovecraft Country canceled, Tomb Raider now canceled. I wonder if people are looking at her scripts and they're like, no, we don't necessarily want to touch those, so we're just going to let these rights and these scripts just kind of go to waste. So I am a little bit bummed in regards to that. Now, when it comes to the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider, while I enjoyed it, I didn't think it was anything overly amazing. I thought it was a satisfactory, enjoyable film that certainly did what it was certainly supposed to. So the idea of them rebooting it now and selling it to somebody else probably shouldn't come as a big of a surprise, but it does. I honestly thought MGM was ready and had everything certainly in place for a Tomb Raider sequel. And now we're certainly not going to get it, unfortunately. I am kind of curious as to who's going to win this bidding war. I'm surprised the article didn't notify us as to like at least who the big three certainly might be going into this. I've always been a big fan of Lionsgate. I don't know if they're maybe in the runnings. Lionsgate, I think, would be a really great home for Tomb Raider. I don't necessarily know if I want this to go to, say, a streaming service like Amazon Prime, Netflix, but who knows? Maybe they have the most money. Don't give this to Paramount, please. Who does this? I think Paramount actually might do Mission Impossible movies. Who does Mission Impossible movies? Is that Paramount, Stuart?
Yeah, that's Paramount.
Okay. Yeah, maybe Paramount. We'll see. I don't know. Do you have anybody in particular or studio, Stuart, that you would like to see tackle a Tomb Raider movie? And what do you think about the idea of MGM letting the rights get away from them?
Um, I'll do the MGM part first, because that just surprised me, because it sounded like
Right?
the last time we talked about Tomb Raider, it sounded like they were ready to like start production soon, like
Yeah.
really soon. So it surprises me that they lost the rights to it. But what I think kind of happened, if I had to guess, is that they had a very specific budget in mind for the movie, and they knew the rights were coming out, or they were going to be losing it anyway. So I'm wondering if like part of it was just like they weren't even sure, after how the first one didn't do super well, if they weren't even sure if they wanted to go through with it, and so they used like the bidding war as kind of like a like, we'll leave it to chance, like a heads we win, heads we do, or heads we keep it, tails we don't. And their heads was, we'll put this much money forward, and if no one else bids on it, then we'll continue on with our sequel. But if someone else does, clearly it wasn't meant to be, and we'll let them tackle it, because they might be able to do a better job than what we could do. So I wouldn't say that like the writer for the movie that they hired is completely gone yet, because it is possible that other studios might see her talent and be like, okay, you know what, we do like what you had going for this. More than likely, they wouldn't be allowed to connect it to the previous movie, with it being like under a new studio. So if I had to guess, I would assume that the next Tomb Raider movie is going to be like a full-on reboot. But it doesn't mean we can't have the same writer. Like the other studio might want to keep her around. So yeah, it's interesting is what I'm kind of getting at. Personally, for me, I'm not like a huge fan of the Tomb Raider franchise one way or another. So I don't really have like a strong opinion on like who I think should make the next Tomb Raider movie. But I do kind of think that MGM just wasn't really super interested in it. And I think that's why they waited till after the bidding war to really see if they were going to do anything with the sequel.
Yeah, I think I think you might be right, man. I think at least into maybe like the lack of confidence MGM certainly might have had in regards to it. I would be interested to kind of see. So Rob says I think Paramount did a decent job with the Sonic movies. Yeah, they certainly have. I haven't minded. I think they even did the Star Trek stuff with JJ Abrams, I believe,
Yeah.
was Paramount. Mission Impossible movies have been pretty good through there as far as like action adventure stuff. So maybe Paramount's a great might be a good home for them. This is a random question, Stuart. I didn't prepare us for this question, but with Alicia Vikander, who I think is a great actress, not reprising her role as Lara Croft, is there anybody out there that you would like to see take up this role of Lara Croft going forward? I'm sure that there's a ton of women out there that would be perfect for this role. I'm just trying to think of some off the top of my head. For some reason, Haley Atwell comes to mind. She's got the great accent already. Clearly, physically, she could certainly do a ton. I think she's even going to be in the upcoming Mission Impossible movie also to maybe prove her worth. I love Haley Atwell, so maybe Haley Atwell would be a good runner-up for Tomb Raider. But yeah, I don't know if you have anybody in mind, any brunettes out there right now that have been capturing your attention that can really fit that role of not only archaeologist, adventurer, hold her own type of thing, you know?
Honestly, I think that's the perfect answer, and I think that's who I was about to go with. Haley Atwell, I think if we're going with the experienced Tomb Raider, essentially, I think she would be perfect. But
Oh, that's
if we
true.
want to go for like kind of what this movie was going for, like kind of a younger Tomb Raider, one kind of more based on the current run of Tomb Raider video games, I don't know. Like I guess Haley Seinfeld could also be a really that's the name, right? The one that does
Haley
Kate
Haley
Bishop.
Steinfeld.
Yeah, she does
Yeah.
Bishop, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
thought so. Like I think she could do a really good job with the role. And then same with like I feel like there's a crap ton of MCU actresses like that are like joining the franchise now that I feel could pull it off. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to look some up some other names currently. Some like previous Odette Annable. I believe she was from. I think she was in Supergirl a couple of years. For some reason, something even popped up for like who's Ewan McGregor's wife, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. But that was another suggestion for me. But I don't know. Yeah, I think she might even be on there too. But yeah, there's a ton of great options. I would be kind of curious for you guys, if you guys were to go ahead and reboot Tomb Raider, who would be playing your Lara Croft? Please go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. I do think that there's a great Tomb Raider film to be made. I think there's a great opportunity there, even better than maybe what Sony did with Uncharted, honestly. You know, we are about to have maybe one more Indiana Jones movie. And if we're going to have somebody kind of fill that void for sort of like the expedition, adventurer, solving clues, you know, type of thing, I think Tomb Raider could be a really perfect fit in that genre, since we've had a couple of Tomb Raider movies already. So yeah, I definitely do think there's a good Tomb Raider movie out there still waiting to really be made, honestly.
You know what they could also do? They could get I'm not sure if there would be a legal thing behind this, like they may not be allowed to, but they could just make a Tomb Raider 3 and get Angelina Jolie to come back.
I mean, you know, she's getting up there in age though. So I don't know if I would have her. You want her to play the role again?
Yeah. That'd be kind of fun.
I mean, shit, she just take on Eternals as one of the most badass characters in that movie. So she definitely could still certainly hold herself together for sure. But yeah, there's a ton of options out there, guys. But we definitely would like to know yours. If you had to go ahead and pick out your next Tomb Raider, who would be playing that role? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right, Stuart, I think other than that, that will wrap up all of our main topics today, guys. So thank you very much for everybody certainly joining us. And with that out of the way, I think it is time What time is it, Stuart?
It is time for live viewer questions.
And we always appreciate you guys certainly coming through each and every week. For those of you who do not know where to submit your live viewer questions to, let me go ahead and bring that up for you guys. Let's see here. So if you ever want to go ahead and submit a live viewer question into us, just go over to our YouTube page here, our channel page, click on this community tab right here. And usually in the middle of the week, towards the end of the week, we will go ahead and make a live viewer questions post for you guys to announce that it is time to go ahead and start submitting your questions over. And today, Stuart, we got ourselves 27 comments to definitely go through today. So let's go ahead and sort these through. We might actually even have a little bit more because I do believe I have a couple of emails from last week that we did not get to. So before we get into these, let me go ahead and bring up, I think maybe Danny Morales had one. So give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and pull this up from our other one. I think, here we go, from Danny Morales. My questions from 2 weeks ago. I think JDF announcement of him leaving Power Rangers was just a publicity stunt, and he might return for the 30th anniversary or a reunion special. He did mention certain people might not return, like Austin, and we know Tui is no longer with us. I found his announcement really unnecessary because he had to make it public, like at a news station when he spoke with Comic Book Website. Do you think diehard MMPR fans will use this news as a way to crap on the franchise, like thinking the show went downhill and they don't want to give any future projects or even Dino Fury a chance?
Nah, I mean, I think you're looking a little bit too deep into it. I think just what happened is JDF just kept getting his hopes up that he could come back to the franchise at some point, you know, and that's why he constantly did those cameos, but it still hasn't happened. So I think, like, you know, it's been 30 years, so now he's just kind of like, yeah, I'll do this last cameo for the 30th anniversary, but I'm done after that.
Yeah, I'm okay with him if he certainly didn't return. I mean, I look, JDF has given everything to this franchise. Do I think it was just a publicity stunt? I don't think so. I mean, I think he probably told what he knew or didn't know of the project. Maybe he's not that well connected with Hasbro as he used to be when Saban was certainly in charge. So I don't know exactly all he's aware of. But I don't think it was a publicity stunt. And I don't think MMPR fans will use it as a way to crap on it. I think if anything, we probably just understand the guy's 50 years old. Yeah. I think he's even mentioned the idea like, look, man, I'm just tired of covering up my tattoos. And he's got a lot of them. I have no idea like what the hours are from makeup to go ahead and cover up all those tattoos or just putting a suit on sort of thing. Right. So I'm okay. I think he's onto bigger and better things for himself. And, you know, he's given his life to Power Rangers. And I think that's all we can ask, really.
Have him show up like without covering up any of the tattoos in the 30th anniversary and him be like, well, that's why I wasn't here for the big Beast Morphers team up. I was too busy getting all my tattoos.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Let's see here. This is from Marcelino. Marcelino says, hey guys, before we start with my questions, there's something I would like to say first, since I can no longer do themed related questions because of the one question per person rule. I found a new way to make my questions more interesting. I'll ask you guys 2 questions and you choose which one you want to answer. And the one you don't answer, I'll ask another day. Okay, that works. If Kevin Sorbo were ever to star in Marvel or DC films, which character would you like to see him play? Oh, Hercules, definitely. I mean, we already got a Hercules, but I don't know. Who would you like to see Kevin Sorbo play, Stuart?
Wonder Man in the Marvel universe.
Ooh, I guess pretty funny, man. I kind of dig that. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. Kevin Sorbo. You know, give me I just mentioned this in the She-Hulk series. Give me him as Doc Samson. Give me him as Doc Samson. Put some green hair on him. Make him a professor. He could just be as strong as he was when he played Hercules. Give me Doc Samson for Kevin Sorbo. Like kind of one-off. Like I wouldn't necessarily know if I would want him as a like MCU regular, but I wouldn't mind him having a cameo here or there. Doomsday says, do you like or not like the idea of Kevin Feige planning to release Avengers 5 and 6 in the exact same year? I love the idea, especially I think when it comes to Kevin Feige, we all know that he has a plan. And Phase 6, even though we've only got 3 movies attached to it, those 3 movies are monumental. So the trajectory and the momentum of Phase 6 alone is pretty incredible. And for me as a fan, I like the idea of knowing I don't got to wait a whole year to see the next Avengers film, because I think we've waited quite some time for another Avengers movie. So I dig the idea. What about you, though, Stuart?
Same. Yeah. I mean, man, I'm trying to think if there's any drawback to it, but I really don't see one. I think at this point, Marvel's been around long enough to where it's like they can take these, really big risks, and even if like one of them doesn't sell as much as they expected, they still got the other Avengers movie.
Yeah, I think they'll deliver at least box office wise, but yeah, we'll see. Definitely always a risk. Datilla, congratulations on hitting 1K. You guys deserved it. Always putting out amazing content. Well, thank you very much, Datilla. We definitely appreciate it. Yeah, man, putting together a 3-hour show of live content is not easy to do all the time, but I think we certainly manage it very well. And we've got some amazing co-hosts and Stuart along with Indy that certainly come through on a weekly basis for us. So we appreciate it, Datilla. It's we wouldn't be here without you guys. So we do appreciate all your continued support for the channel. So if you continue to love our content, I hope you're subscribed, but definitely feel free to share these videos everywhere, and definitely feel free to like them. Jessica Friedman, do you think we will see Jonathan and Lana Superwoman again in Superman and Lois? And do you think we will get a 4th season of Harley Quinn?
I definitely think we're going to see more Jonathan L. I don't know about Lana Superwoman because I actually don't even remember what happened to her at the end of season 2. But Jonathan L., I'm pretty sure we haven't seen the last of him, because last time we saw him, he was still in DOD custody. And if they're not getting killed off, they're probably going to be utilized again, just like they did with Tal Rowe.
Yeah, you might be onto something there. I do think we'll get a 4th season of Harley Quinn. I know there's a big shakeup, but Harley Quinn is such a big character. The series itself is quite successful. They literally are making a spinoff of the Harley Quinn series with Kite Man. And so I think David Zaslav is smart enough to realize how much people really enjoy this series. So I hope he keeps it around. So I am expecting a season 4. Blossom does say, we appreciate you coming through, L'Oreal. How would you think MCU would portray Madam Web? She was in the 94 cartoon for Spider-Man last time I saw her. And if Kara Major is used for Cosmic Fury, how would they adapt the team, including my sweet Babu Juro? Well, in regards to adapting Kara Major, if they were, I don't know. I don't know if they would have somebody with an extreme perfect imagination. I don't know if they can get away with what Super Sentai gets away with in regards to their character work. So I don't know how they would adapt somebody like the team leader for Kara Major. Do you have an idea, Stuart? I heard
Because I thought of something.
What you got?
You brought up the idea, or this has been kind of rumored for a long time. People think that we might have a character who's related to Trini, and they might do like a cool tribute to her. So if they wanted her to be the Red Ranger, one element from Cure Major I really love, and I hope we kind of see that in like the 30th anniversary. I love the idea of the youngest, most inexperienced member having to be the leader, kind of similar to how they did it in Jungle Fury. So I would love to see that again, where it's like you got a character who has all this pressure on her because of who her mother was, and she has to lead like a team of Rangers that are way more experienced and in her mind more qualified to lead the team.
I think that's great, Stuart. I really like that idea. I mean, we always had pushback from the Yellow Ranger and Kara Major, in the sense of like, this guy is the leader, like I should be the leader, right? So I think you might be right. That would be really cool to kind of see if they were to adapt at least that aspect of Juru's storyline of being the youngest on the team, most inexperienced, yet when it comes to leadership, he knows exactly what he's doing. As far as how I think the MCU would portray Madam Web, I don't know. I don't think the MCU would give her own movie. But then again, Marvel's giving Agatha her own Disney Plus series, and I didn't even think that warranted one. So I think they would probably portray her probably as the older Madam Web. If I were to know the MCU and us diving into the multiverse, I actually think we probably get two different Madam Webs. I think we get ourselves an older version that we've seen from the comics, but there is a secondary Madam Web. I think her name was Julia Carpenter, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the alias of the most recent or the youngest Madam Web that we've had. I can see the MCU casting both of them and having some sort of multiversal story in there. But that's how I would probably see them playing it. Do you see anything different? Or would you like to see it different?
I kind of see like the MCU taking a very similar approach to what they did in the 94 cartoon with Madam Web. But yeah, I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. Carter Matthews, Harley Quinn and David Ayer suicide joke. What do you think of the Harley Quinn animated series poking fun of the David Ayer cut of the Suicide Squad movie? The Back Computer's desktop shows different folders, with one of them showcasing what appears to be the famous Ayer cut of the 2016 DCEU movie. Other folders include Bat Taxes, Robin's Homework, and Bat Nipples Concept. No. The showrunner of the animated series have wanted Zack Snyder to work on this series for a while, but couldn't pull the trigger, but hopes to approach him again if a fourth season happens, especially since Snyder will appear in the upcoming Titans Go series. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, they did announce Zack Snyder will have a cameo in the upcoming Titans Go series. So this might open the door for Zack Snyder to maybe appear in the Harley Quinn animated series at some point in time. I didn't know that they had a scene like that in that Harley Quinn series, but that shit is hilarious to me. That's so funny. That's such great humor, man. I'm glad that they have no problem of not only making fun of themselves as a studio, but also like I'm sure they're probably big fans of David Ayer's work, or like just to kind of in their funny way of maybe showing some levels of support, but just having fun with themselves. Like I appreciate studios that can laugh at themselves and make a joke about certain things and not take themselves too seriously in that aspect. So I think that's great, man. I think that's great.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I have to check that out. I do hope they get Zack Snyder for season 4. I mean, I figure if Teen Titans Go is able to get him, I'm sure Harley Quinn can work something out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. John Schuyler, what do you think of some of the speculation? What do you think of? Oh, excuse me. What do you think of some of the speculation that the second half of Dino Fury won't be released on Netflix until October? Perhaps Hasbro wants to roll out the episodes by that time, so the wait time for the third anniversary season itself isn't far off, especially if the release date doesn't get announced at all at Power Morphicon. October feels like a little bit too long of a wait, so I'm going to say no to that. I think either the end of August or beginning of September. I think waiting until October might be a little bit too long. I can't remember when the second half of season 1 dropped, but I would think maybe close around that same time period. Do you remember when the second half of season 1 was released?
No idea. I forgot.
What do you think? Do you think it's going to wait till October?
I think it's going to be either early October or like kind of mid to late September. And I think they're going to do that so they can announce it at Power Morphicon, but like still give people like some room for anticipation for when it does come out.
It does say the season began streaming June 15th with the remaining episodes released on October 15th. Let me see. I'm trying to see where season 1 was released. I can't remember. October feels a little bit too far away, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm hoping that they announce something at Power Morphicon, either that same weekend or the beginning of September. But we'll see. Abase, with the announcement of Godzilla vs. Kong 2 already in productions, yes, they actually started filming in Australia this week. What do you want to see that's different and even better than the first film? I heard critics love the film, but criticize the lack of development and the use of human characters. I swear we had something similar to the Flash series when we had a giant shark and gorilla fight each other. In a weird way, Stuart, while I am a big fan of character development and wanting to learn about the characters, when it comes to Godzilla versus Kong, I just want to see monsters fight. And I'm cool if you've got decent enough characters to help push the story forward in that sense. Because I think the main characters should be Kong and Godzilla, and maybe their past history and things like that, and how they got to this particular point. But we saw that in Godzilla versus Kong, which I was certainly a big fan of. I definitely appreciated it. So I don't really mind it so much, the lack of development and the use of human characters. What about you, though? Do you think that could be a big improvement for, say, the second one, or do you not mind it so much?
I think the only real improvement I would love them to make for the second one is be a little more creative on how point A gets to point B, because it felt like with everything kind of going on, the moment they got to like kind of center Earth, like everything going on there, I thought was really cool.
Mhm.
But then when it came to like that final fight, that's where I feel like they rushed it way too much to like get to that final fight, to where they're just like, I don't know, they're in two completely different places. Godzilla breathes fire, makes a giant hole in the earth, and then Kong jumps out somehow and lands on the surface, and then they fight. Yeah, that was like one of the worst things I thought like in the movie. So I think I want them to be more creative on how they, come together with the story and get to face off.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. I'm hoping that is a big improvement. Let's see here. Jack Daniels, what do you think of the Tomb Raider film rights being let go by MGM? I might be in the minority, but I really, really love the most recent film with Alicia Vikander. I remember seeing opening night in theaters, and it was so cool that whenever Lara Croft would do something to get through difficult situations, we got to see what she saw with first-person view, which still to this day gets me excited. I'm not really sure why it's still not the best movie by critics, but I think it's very underrated. I love the acting and directing. Alicia Vikander really got me invested in her character. I still give the film a B. I think that's a fair grading for it for sure. Again, I certainly walked away enjoying the movie. It didn't blow my socks off or anything like that, but enough for me to be interested in definitely seeing a sequel and to see how they could really grow upon the first film that they wind up getting. Because I did appreciate Alicia Vikander as Laura Croft in here and definitely wanted to see more. So I'm glad that you appreciated it in that way, Jack Daniels, for sure. He says, what do you want to see in a potential sequel? Anything you'd like to see in a sequel?
Well, I haven't even seen the first one, so
Oh,
yeah.
I guess, man, it's been so long since I've seen the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider one. I don't know what I would want to see in the potential sequel. Considering that we're not unfortunately going to get one anymore, we're literally going to be getting a reboot. I'm assuming if anything, they probably will still focus on the idea of maybe her dad missing and her trying to, or the idea of her parents and stuff, and then trying to decipher or maybe follow in his own footsteps, sort of thing. I wouldn't mind adding a little bit more supernatural elements to it. I think Tomb Raider's really great about that in the sense of grounding it with reality. But then as you get further in the story, it's like definitely some supernatural or curses or lores that wind up kind of getting brought back. I wouldn't mind seeing something along those lines, but I just want a really great director and writer on board to really push the envelope of what Tomb Raider is all about. Let's see here. Michael Rhymes, how excited are you for Hasbro's Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie coming out next year? And do you think the movie will do well in theaters? If it does, could Jonathan Entwistle and his team see this as a guide for Power Ranger movies? I think Jonathan knows that PR isn't ready for the big screen, or at least quite some time. We all know how the general public sees Power Rangers since the beginning. So yeah, how excited are you for Dungeons and Dragons, Stuart? And do you think this movie? Do you think the movie will do well in theaters?
I think it's going to do extremely well in theaters because Dungeons and Dragons, even if you don't play it, it's a very popular IP. And plus, I think the trailer got a lot of real positive reception, and people love Chris Pine. So I think there's too many positive elements going for this movie for it to not have at least a very strong opening weekend at box office.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I feel like Dungeons and Dragons is even becoming more popular for sure. I mean, I feel like more and more people are talking about it. more and more people are coming out of the woodwork of, hey, yeah, I've been a big tabletop RPG gamer forever. I mean, especially when you've got big known stars like Henry Cavill, Joe Manganiello, or Manganielli, however you pronounce his name, coming out and showcasing, their big nerdism about it. And then listen, Stranger Things probably has even helped boost Dungeons and Dragons
I
even
was
more.
gonna say that, yeah.
I mean, good old Eddie Munson from Stranger Things season 4. If you weren't part of the Hellfire Club, you probably want to be a part of the Hellfire Club now and get into Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, still, Stuart. I mean, I think that moment from Stranger Things season 4 is probably still one of my most favorite just television moments in history ever, of Eddie Munson breaking into his Metallica chords in the Upside Down world. I mean, it still gives me chills to this day to watching it, but him being the leader of the Hellfire Club and pushing Dungeons and Dragons, man, Stranger Things is definitely the spokesperson for the video game. And you match that with a really great trailer that wind up dropping. Man, talk about a great momentum swing here. I think they could be onto something. The story has to be there, but I do think opening weekend numbers might do great. And could this help the guide the Power Ranger movie, do you think?
No, honestly, I don't think anyone's gonna like look at this movie and go, "Oh man, because this one was so good, I bet you that Power Rangers show coming to Netflix is gonna be great too." I think the only people that are gonna be thinking that are Power Ranger fans, honestly.
Yeah,
But I
I
don't
mean,
think
look,
like general audiences will look at it that way.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like Power Ranger fans, and this is no disrespect to Power Ranger fans, but we automatically attach ourselves to like the biggest blockbuster movies out there and want Power Rangers to be that so incredibly bad. Like I've seen people say, can Power Rangers be the next No Way Home? Can Power Rangers be the next Doctor Strange multiverse of Matt? I'm like, guys, we've got a long way to go before we even get to that. Like, let's just make a decent movie first that will warrant people to want to come back for more. And so I think we think every big movie that happens, we can be that, and maybe we can. Right out of the gate, though, we got some work to do, man. We got some work to do, but maybe it lays the groundwork for maybe how you promote it. But I do think Jonathan Entwistle and his team have their own vision for what it wants to be. Like, Power Rangers can't just copy and paste or steal the vision of a Spider-Man movie, an Avengers Endgame movie, Dungeons and Dragons, and just replicate that. It's got to be certainly its own thing. And I think that's what Hasbro and Jonathan Entwistle are truly focusing on as of right now.
Yeah, because you look at like even other properties that are pretty big, like He-Man, for example. You look at how like Netflix is kind of doing everything it can to kind of get He-Man back into people's minds. And
right.
I think they're doing that because, they want like there to be a new live action He-Man movie. But like before we can get to that, we got to like remind people, hey guys, He-Man is cool. Yes, cheesy, but let's not forget, it was pretty awesome too. It had its cool moments. So that's why you got, the She-Ra series, you got the Kevin Smith He-Man, and then you even got like this newer futuristic kind of He-Man that I haven't seen, but
I think it's getting a third season though.
Yeah, it's a show that I want to like, but unfortunately I'm just not the target audience for it. But it's very creative. Like, I think the world that they create within that show is incredibly creative.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Ram Jam, he's got an interesting question here, Stuart. And I think I hit you up with this question earlier this week for us to prepare for it. Ram Jam, he says, hey, Adam and Stuart, hope y'all are doing well. For Avengers 5 and 6, who do you think the Avengers will consist of? And have you guys read the TMNT comic, The Last Ronin? Do you think they could become a movie one day? Just real quick, Ram Jam, in regards to the TMNT side of things, I have not read The Last Ronin, but damn if I have not heard great things about it. If they ever wanted to make a movie out of it, I'd be open to it, honestly. More TMNT, I think, is always a good thing, especially when you tackle a storyline like The Last Ronin. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. But Stuart, if we had to come up with our team for the Avengers, it's been a minute since we've had an Avengers movie. It's going to be a couple more years. We've got plenty of solo films, plenty of event films, plenty of origin stories and series on Disney Plus before we even get to Avengers Kang Dynasty. So let me ask you this question from Ram Jam here. When it comes to the next Avengers movie, We all know the first Avengers film. We get that close-up shot of the team, starting with Captain America, goes around in a gigantic circle. You could see all the members of the Avengers team getting ready for action. If we were to have a money shot like that in Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, what would your Avengers team look like? Who do you got?
So for the team, now keep in mind, I'm thinking for these movies, they'll have a lot more than the 7 that I've listed, but I'm going with these are the 7 that I think will be the core of the Avengers, like the main characters within these Avengers movies.
Okay.
So I think leading them is, of course, going to be Sam Wilson's Captain America. I see Doctor Strange sticking around because I don't see Benedict Cumberbatch wanting to leave anytime soon. And then, of course, here's where we get to the new members. I think we're going to get Shang-Chi as a member.
Okay.
And I think we're going to get Miss Marvel as a member.
Nice.
Pretty sure it's safe to say we're going to get Kate Bishop's Hawkeye as a member.
Okay.
And Ironheart also will be a member. And then the last one I got here, I feel Black Panther is going to be like part of this team. I just don't know who's going to be the Black Panther, but I think my personal pick at the moment, which is funny because I think Okoye was my previous pick last week, if I'm not mistaken, but I think this week I'm going to switch it up and go with Nakia as my choice for Black Panther because I look back at the first movie and how T'Challa wanted to keep kind of the tradition of just, letting Wakanda be its own country and not really, worrying too much about what's going on in the rest of the world. But Nakia was the one that brought up the idea that, what if we expanded? What if we, shared what we had with other people? And I think that kind of heart deserves to become the next Black Panther. So that's why she'll be my pick for Black Panther if I were to, if I were the one choosing, that is. So that being said, that would be my lineup for the 7 Avengers.
Wait, you say it's 7?
Oh, wait, that was 7, right? Let me check. So Captain America, Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, Ironheart, and Black Panther.
Okay, so that's your team of 7. I got you.
Yeah.
Man, Stuart.
I'm excited to hear yours.
My team is huge, and I'm really regretting this right now. My lineup is huge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 11 members. I'm gonna cut one out though. I'm gonna cut one out.
Make it 10. Cool.
I'm gonna make it 10. I'm gonna make my team 10. I am gonna go Sam Wilson's Captain America. I do think that he's on there. I'm gonna pick some of the people that you chose also. Shang-Chi. I think Shang-Chi is gonna be a member. I do think that the Black Panther will certainly also be a member. I'm gonna also put in the Mighty Thor. Or a Thor at least of some point. Again, I have not seen Thor: Love and Thunder yet still, so I don't know. I still don't know what happens with Natalie Portman's Jane Foster at the end. But if both Thors make it out of here, I've got the Mighty Thor or at least Thor in here. So that's 4. I am also gonna put Miss Marvel in the mix. So that's my 5. I'm even gonna throw in Vision. I think Vision might pop back up. Maybe give me the white Vision. So that'll be 6 for me. I'm also going to put, I don't know what Thunderbolts is going to turn out to be, but I would like to see Yelena Belova as a Black Widow in this particular movie. So she would join the group also. So that's 7. I'm even going to throw Spider-Man in there, Stuart. I'm even going to throw Spider-Man in there. I'll even throw in War Machine. I know we've got I don't know where Armor Wars is going to pop up in here. I hope Rhodey makes it out. Give me War Machine. And then last but not least, God. I've got 2 names. I'm trying to figure out who I want in here. I'm going to say Captain Marvel. Okay. I don't know if that's a stretch to have 2 Marvels in here. Fuck, it might even be Photon, but I think maybe even a Captain Marvel. So that's my 10. Captain America, Shang-Chi, Black Panther, Thor, Black Widow by Yelena Belova, Spider-Man, Vision, War Machine, Captain Marvel, and who did I say? There was another one. Spider-Man. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So that's my 10. You think that's too much?
No, I think we're gonna. Okay, so even though I put only 7, I think we're gonna have a lot more than that. I only went with the 7 that I think are gonna get the most screen time. So no, I don't think 10 is too much.
I get you.
Okay, can I add a live viewer question of my own into this? Because I got
Okay.
one that's gonna be
Okay.
kind of funny. Who do you think is gonna get killed off? Like, if you had to choose one of your picks to be killed off, who do you think would be the safest bet of who do you think they're gonna who's gonna bite the dust?
War Machine.
War Machine? Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think from my choices, I have 2, and I don't know which one between the 2 of them. Probably Doctor Strange would be my number 1 choice of who I think would be killed off. But I think Captain America could be a close second. The only reason I would say it's less likely is because it sounds like they got like another trilogy planned with this character. So it really depends on what they do with Captain America 4. Like, it feels like a very complete story for him, then my thought is going to be, oh, he's gonna die. But if not, then Doctor Strange is kind of my best guess of who they might kill off in the next Avengers movie.
And, I guess for me, the reason why I don't have Doctor Strange in my lineup, one, I don't even know if he refers to himself or considers himself an Avenger as of right now. He's not even technically the Sorcerer Supreme of that particular world because it's currently Wong. Last time we saw Doctor Strange, homeboy had a third eye on his head and he's helping Charlize Theron with some incursions. I think he's busy right now. So I think whatever is coming in Kang Dynasty, I don't necessarily know if he's going to be a part of it. One of the reasons why I left people like Kate Bishop, Ironheart, and any young people off, with the exception of Miss Marvel, because I do think that they're meant for a young Avengers movie. And I do think that they might be in another sort of lineup. So that's why I went with the Kang Dynasty lineup the way that I certainly did. But we'll see, guys. We'll see. Listen, we want to know your thoughts. How do you guys like our lineup for Kang Dynasty? Stuart has his 7. I have my 10. Is that too many? Who would you certainly flip out, guys? Definitely go ahead and let me know your thoughts down below. And let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Thank you for that, Ram Jam. Oliver, oh my God.
This is a long one.
Jesus. This past week I revisited episodes from all 8 seasons of Arrow, and I'm still absolutely blown away by how awesome of a series it was. And the first series that launched the Arrowverse, Oliver went through a lot when he got from being stranded on the island. Each main villain in every season was awesome, except for one from season 3, Ra's al Ghul. I love that each season's finale left an intense cliffhanger that was immediately picked up in the following season. By the time I got to season 7, I already saw the series starting to come to a close. The finale of 7 blew me away. That I was super pumped for season 8. Of course, when I got to 8, everything was nothing but action-packed and seeing the characters finding closure. I love by season 8, we started getting the fast-forward scenes of future Team Arrow and Arrow 2 counterparts of Oliver's friends. My jaw still dropped every time I got to the moment future Team Arrow gets thrusted back into 2019 and meeting the OG Team Arrow. I still find it hilarious that Arrow did such a better job than The Flash when it came to the time traveling stuff. The future team having no choice but to reveal the OGs that the future star city of 2040 was a scary place, which still gives me chills. To wrap up, season 8 was really the end game for Oliver. Each episode was balls to the walls. I love that Arrow as a series kick-started the Arrowverse, and I'm really going to miss it when The Flash eventually concludes. Any lasting moments and thoughts about the Arrow series, Stuart? I think you're muted.
Arrow as a series, man, I think it's the perfect definition of getting knocked down and then getting right back up, because
Absolutely.
a lot of times Arrow to me has definitely had some of its downfalls. I think the biggest one being like season 4, but I also love that right after season 4 we got one of the most incredible seasons in season 5. So, and season 6 I thought was just okay, but then I thought season 7 was pretty good. So it's like it's always been like kind of an up and down battle, but I see it as just like it constantly is the show that learns from its mistakes, and it constantly tries to move forward and try new things every season. And then I also just love how like Oliver is as a character. Like, he seems he's very real in the sense of, like, I know this is something people make fun of when it comes to CW shows, and especially with Arrow, but I think the amount of times he kind of falls back in his own ways it feels very real.
Very
and I
human,
think
yeah.
that might be the thing, because I've known drug addicts and everything. So I think the idea of a character who's a vigilante that goes from killing to not killing to back to killing makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I definitely harped and had my issues with the back and forth with Oliver. Like, damn, didn't we already go through this with Oliver? But you're right. I mean, if you look at it from just a human perspective, you could definitely see the roller coaster ride that life just brings us, right? And definitely puts us in different mindsets from time to time. And I would agree with you too. I think talk about a fantastic rebound after season 3 and 4. I for sure thought season 5 was going to be the end. I was like, there's no way that this series is going to rebound. But I've never seen a much better turnaround than what Arrow was able to do, to be able to not only give us a great season 5, but then 3 more seasons after that, or 2 more seasons after that. Just hella impressive to see them really regroup and make this series feel fresh and new again, and really tackle it differently. So great stuff when it comes to Arrow, man. It is a show that I certainly miss. I miss the Arrowverse as it used to be in general. But
Yeah.
those good times, good times.
I would, and I've said this before, but with the DC multiverse being a thing and them clearly not being afraid to rehire actors to play different versions of the same characters, if they wanted to bring back Stephen Amell to play Green Arrow in the DCEU, I am all for that.
All for it. I totally agree. Jericho, what's up, Jericho? Jericho's got a question. What do you think of the Russo brothers' interview with Vanity Fair when they talked about how Iron Man's death was heartbreaking, but also very difficult to pull off? That even Jon Favreau told them that killing Iron Man, such an iconic character, would devastate the fans. The brothers have reached out to Robert Downey Jr. about potentially returning as Iron Man again in the future, which he had shut down twice. There's a chance that Iron Man could return in the far distant future thanks to the multiverse. There definitely is. Yeah, I definitely did read the article that Jon Favreau reached out to them and was like, you guys are really going to do this? Don't do this, guys.
Yeah.
Like, don't do this. You're going to devastate fans. But I honestly think that the Russo brothers handled it perfectly. I mean, do I want to see Robert Downey Jr. come back as Iron Man? Honestly, I wouldn't mind it, Stuart. I honestly wouldn't. But I think the closure and just the stakes of the MCU really depended on the death of Tony Stark. Because there were definitely a lot of tears in the crowd, right? And I think when you can, after a culmination of 10 years of great cinematic history you've put together, to have the person that started this off go out in the fashion that he certainly did, man, I just think from an emotional standpoint, it was incredible what they were able to do. And I can understand Jon Favreau's dilemma here. And I think some people could even say, Stuart, that maybe it was the wrong decision. Based off of where we see the MCU as of right now, some people probably say, it's not as strong as it was the first 10 years, right? Like, you don't have those people like a Chris Evans as Captain America or Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Maybe it feels a little bit diluted without them. But I do think it was the right decision by the Russos, especially based off of everything that these characters or these actors have given to these characters. To me, it made the culmination of the Infinity Saga just that much more perfect. But what about you? Do you agree with Jon Favreau? Should they not have done it? Do you agree with fans who kind of wish Tony Stark was still a part of this and feel that MCU has fallen off? How do you feel like his death was handled?
I feel like it was handled perfectly because, watching Endgame, what I wanted was Captain America to be the one to die on the field of battle, and then Iron Man being the one who got to retire. And I'm glad they didn't do it that way, because that's what they wanted too. I wanted what our main characters wanted. And I think that's, when it comes to telling stories, you got to, subvert the expectations, have them get what they need and not what they wanted. So I think like the problem with Iron Man is that he was never going to get to retire and relax and get to spend time with his family, right? Because his mind is always thinking. He's always trying to come up with ways to improve things. Captain America, had to go to another timeline in order to finally retire and actually get to live out his life and get that happy ending that he deserved, but he never wanted for himself, but he got anyway. So I love the way they wrapped up both their story arcs. And I get that not a lot of people are big fans of Phase 4. There are issues that people have brought up, and I totally get where they're coming from. But that said, I don't think keeping Iron Man and Captain America around would have changed your opinions, because those movies wouldn't have changed at all. They weren't going to like bring in Tony Stark for Doctor Strange 2 because he was still alive. They wouldn't have done that because it's not an Iron Man movie, you know. At the very least, maybe you would have had Captain America have a couple of cameos in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but you know, he still wouldn't have been driving that show. It still would have been, you know, Sam Wilson's show, basically. So yeah, I don't have any issues at all with the way they handled it, is what I'm getting at. A long way for me to say that.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate your thoughts on regards to, because I do think you hit the nail on the head. I am very happy in the way that they pulled it off, because yeah, at the end of the day, you got to follow the character arc more than expectations of what the fans certainly want. I thought they were both really great departures for both of those characters, honestly. Yeah, I do miss them. Don't get me wrong. I do miss them. It does feel like a void, but I do think that's the purpose, you know? And I think as the MCU, people that, you know, at Disney, that doesn't really kill off many people, the fact that they pulled the trigger for Captain America and Iron Man spoke volumes. So I'm glad that they at least added some stakes to the MCU. Nicole Robertson, hey y'all, hope you're doing well, and congratulations on the 1K subscribers. Thank you very much, Nicole. We appreciate you being a part of the family. What do you think of the rumor of Sony's Madam Web movie possibly hinting the return of Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, Spider-Man? The movie takes place in the 2000s, basically jumping from when Peter saved a young girl from a burning building, and that young girl was Dakota Johnson as Madam Web herself, with a newspaper saying, "Bravest pulls girl from fire." So nobody's confirmed that this is set in that same time period. You know, it is set in the 2000s. People are taking what the newspaper stated as "bravest pulls girl from fire" to kind of make the connection of the moment, I think it was in Spider-Man 2, when Peter runs into the building without his Spider-Man gear on, I believe, and pulls out a young girl, and he's a hero. Some people implying that maybe that young girl that he pulled out was in fact the Madam Web character. You know, I personally, look, I'm not going to say never, but I'm going to say this is a little bit of a stretch for me personally. When you say bravest pull girl out of fire from fire, I could easily put that as, hey, it's just firefighters. You know, it's just firefighters. But some people could be reading a little bit more into it. I don't know if there's more to this story than what's certainly been let on, but I'm going to say no for now, and watch me be completely wrong. What about you, Stuart? Do you think this hints at a set in the world of Tobey Maguire?
That would be cool. But wait, are they saying that the young girl that he saved was Dakota Johnson, like at that age? Like that was actually her?
Or that her character?
Oh,
that
just the same character.
Right, that Dakota Johnson is going to be playing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's less likely then, because I thought if it was the same actress, then I'd be like, ooh, that's if it's not, then that's an awesome coincidence. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna assume that just based on that one newspaper.
Yeah, I'm not either, but we'll see. Gabriel Glasgow, what's up, Gabriel? He says that X-Men animated series was way ahead of its time. I subscribed to Disney Plus a couple years ago and was pleasantly surprised to see this old gem on here. I was obsessed with this show, watched it religiously every Saturday morning. It is the reason I got into comics and superheroes as a child. A strong argument could be made that this was peak X-Men, in my opinion. A lot of the themes are way more mature and ahead of their time. It's great to re-experience this show from an adult point of view. Thanks to San Diego Comic-Con News, I'm looking forward to the next iteration of the X-Men animated series when it eventually comes out. Well, I'm glad you appreciated the news, Gabriel. We did cover it on last week's episode of A+ Hero Report for the upcoming Disney Plus animated series X-Men 97. That is actually a continuation from the classic 90s X-Men animated series. And I would definitely agree, Gabriel. It definitely is a series that had a lot of themes that were way mature and sort of ahead of its time. It is one of the things that I miss about cartoons these days, that they weren't afraid to challenge kids and at least push them. I don't want to say push them into adulthood, but at least give them something to think about as you got older. And so I do miss those time periods. I'm sure there'll be some people that'll say maybe like X-Men Evolution was even better series. X-Men, the animated series from the 90s, is really the only X-Men that animated wise that I ever really got into. So I don't really know how the other series wind up going. But for those of you who don't know, Disney Plus, not only do they have the animated series of X-Men on there, but they have put them in chronological order storyline wise. Because I believe when they were released back in the 90s, some of the storylines took place before or even after certain stories that we've already been told. They were kind of all over the place sometimes in regards to their storytelling, but it seems as though Disney Plus has put that story in order. So if you want to go ahead and check out the animated series, I highly recommend you do so, especially before the new series comes out. But what do you think in regards to what Gabriel has to say?
I fully agree with everything that he had to say with X-Men the animated series. That show was definitely really ahead of its time. It's kind of funny because like as a kid, there was this show and X-Men Evolution. X-Men Evolution was on a lot more often, so I definitely watched way more than that than I did of this show. But I definitely preferred this show over X-Men Evolution. Something kind of funny though about it also is that I technically wasn't allowed to watch it as a little kid. Basically, there was an episode. Yeah, there was an episode my mom walked in on me watching, and I genuinely do not remember what the full context was, but and this was more my fault for like explaining it terribly what was going on. But my mom's like, hey, who are the good guys or who are the bad guys? And I'm like, well, they're both good guys. Well, why are they fighting then? Well, because they don't know that they're good guys. I was like 4 or something, so that's how I explained it to her. There was a lot more going on, but because like she hated the idea of good guys fighting each other, she's like, "Yeah, you're not watching this show then."
Oh man, I'm glad you didn't tell her there was a love triangle between Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean Grey. Yeah, these two superheroes are fighting over this same woman. Like, yeah, they might be having an affair with each other on the side, but who knows? Yeah, that's a little intense, man.
Intense. But of course, every time I had the chance, for when I was up before my parents, I'd go to Fox Kids and I'd watch that show all the time. All that to say, I freaking love this series, and I'm so excited to see it come back.
Yeah, me too, man. Chris Crossman's got the next question. How excited are you for the She-Hulk series? And with Daredevil confirmed to be returning with Charlie Cox, what do you want to see from him, considering he may not be the same Daredevil from the Netflix series? With the announcement of She-Hulk series having tons of cameos from Marvel characters, both past and present, who would you love to see pop up in She-Hulk, even if with no explanation? So we kind of already named who we would certainly like to see pop up. The Punisher, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. I even threw out Bruce Banner's old friend from the comics, Rick Jones, along with maybe even Doc Samson at some point in time. Just some ideas out there. But Stuart, when it comes to Daredevil, confirmed to be returned to Charlie Cox, what do you want to see from him, considering he may not be the same Daredevil?
Hopefully some better like acrobatics and stunts that they weren't able to pull off because of the limited production that you have when it comes to shooting on location instead of shooting in a studio, which we already kind of saw in the teaser because we saw him do like a flip that you never would have seen in the Daredevil series. So some cool fight scenes like that.
To me, I guess this would be really interesting to see, like, well, I don't want to say what time period this takes place in. I am still kind of serious. I am still kind of curious to see how or if they even include the Netflix storylines at all, or how they explain either away or include the Netflix stuff into here. Has Charlie Cox gone through his 3 seasons, and this is the development next for Daredevil? That's maybe why we've got ourselves a new costume, even though the costume itself is really sort of the first iteration of the Daredevil costume from the comic books. So is this truly like a new beginning process for Matt Murdock? That I don't know. Like, I am interested to see what costume he's even going to have in the Daredevil series himself. I know people have hinted at the idea of it being the more black and red highlights than anything. And I think we even saw maybe a tease of an early version of that in the Spider-Man freshman year cartoon stuff that we've seen so far. So I don't know where this lands in regards to the Netflix side of things, or if it does at all. But for me, from one lawyer to another, I would be interested to see how Daredevil and She-Hulk certainly interact. And if we even get a Charlie Cox and Jennifer Walters, like just human form sort of team up also, aside from them meeting in whatever fashion that they did. Like, I do wonder if they had talks and they said, hey, meet me in this parking garage later on tonight, and homeboy pops up as Daredevil. Like, that would be interesting to see if that's how they pull it off too.
Yeah. Another thing I wouldn't mind is if we ever got like She-Hulk versus Daredevil, but not in a fight, in the court, basically. Like one of them's defending a client, the other one is trying to prosecute the client. I think that could work that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, what if it's over John Bernthal's Punisher? What if Matt Murdock is the defendant and she's the prosecutor or something? I don't know. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh man, that would be
Wait,
awesome.
Is she a defense attorney?
In the show, it looks like she might be doing both, because I know that they definitely have her defending Abomination, because
right?
they bring up that joke of like of how there might be a shit, I forgot the term that they use.
It's okay.
Yeah, but the term that they have when it comes to lawyers that shouldn't be working with a certain client because they're too attached to that client. With her,
like attorney something privilege, something like that.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't think that's okay because he tried to kill my cousin.
yeah, that's right. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out, but it should be an interesting collab to say the least. Morgan Hutchinson, Daisy Johnson returned to Marvel. It says, did you hear the showrunner of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being asked if she would give the MCU her support for Chloe Bennett to return as Daisy Johnson Quake? After many fans have theorized and speculated for a long time how she would return since Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the showrunner Marissa said she was never asked at all nor heard anything. But if she was, she would say yes to the idea of allowing characters of Daisy to be in the MCU. Only the creative team of AOS were approached. There was even a pitch that was allegedly confirmed by Kevin Feige and Disney, where Daisy would return for a Secret Invasion with a brand new origin story, but with some elements to cater diehard AOS fans. So for now, she wants Daisy Johnson and anything with AOS involved to be its own separate universe for the foreseeable future. To me, this tells me the showrunner is very protective of the AOS property, and she's got every reason to certainly be. Listen, nothing's been confirmed as to whether or not Chloe Bennett will return as Daisy Johnson in Quake. It is one of the biggest theories out there right now, especially with Chloe Bennett departing the Powerpuff Girls live action series. Many people have been wondering exactly where she's going to be going. I'll take my prediction and say, yeah, I do think she's going to be in Secret Invasion. I think they're trying to keep this close to the chest. I think when you've got very vocal Daredevil fans asking for him to be included in the MCU and then bringing in the Netflix stuff, trust me when I say the TV side is much, much different. But I'm going to say yes, Stuart. I think she pops back up in Secret Invasion. Maybe this is me as the AOS sort of fan that kind of sits on the edge. I haven't really fallen into the trap of I need AOS in everything MCU related, but I do think if you are going to bring her in, this is like the best opportunity. And I honestly think maybe the only opportunity to bring her in. What do you think, Stuart? Do you think it happens? I do, but do you think Daisy Johnson pops up in the MCU as Quake?
I think there's a huge possibility for that to happen. I definitely don't want to say it's for sure happening, but I'm going to say at this point, I would be surprised if they didn't have some elements of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in Secret Invasion. And I also kind of hope they use it to kind of explain how much of S.H.I.E.L.D. can be kind of considered like canon to the 616 MCU. Because, I look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Along with like all the Netflix shows as being like variants of the MCU. So elements of those shows can be canon. I just don't see them being 110% canon. You know what I mean?
I get you.
And I think the Secret Invasions would be the best way to like kind of bring closure to S.H.I.E.L.D. fans who have been having this big question of how much of it is canon to the MCU.
Yeah, because I think what's always great, at least about the comic book Secret Invasion, and again, they don't necessarily adapt everything word for word, but it is, Quake was a part of sort of this secret team that Nick Fury was putting together, right? Like people in that world that were so secretive that the Skrulls may not have even been aware of them to kind of make duplicates or copies of them, if you will, right? So I think with there being no comment whatsoever of AOS within the MCU, that's about as secret as you get, if you ask me. And I think it would be a really great way for her to pop up. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Adam Perea says this week was the 15th anniversary of Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. Whether you were a fan of the series or not, the 15th anniversary crossover Once a Ranger was and still is one of the best crossovers we've had in recent seasons of Power Rangers. I always tell people that Operation Overdrive and Once a Ranger aren't really that bad as most people make them out to be. I always put in this anniversary out. Not only did we have the return of 5 awesome veteran Rangers for each era of Rangers, Zordon era, Disney era, we got the epic return of one of our fan favorites, Johnny Young Bosch as Adam. He got his own modern day morph, and let him take down his nemesis kid, Rita, and and Zed's son, Thrax, and his own old school martial arts skill, and he was respectful to his juniors. Each of the veteran Rangers alongside Adam got to shine with their own personalities that were straight from their own individual series, and of course got their iconic morph. But it was disappointing we didn't get Adam's MMPR theme song due to Disney not having the rights to the original music. Anywho's, as a whole, for some people who are really good, as a whole, for some people, was a really good series in the Disney era and the 15th anniversary itself. I'm glad that you certainly enjoyed it, Adam. I'm definitely glad that Operation Overdrive certainly hit you the way that it did. For me, I still feel a certain type of way about Operation Overdrive. Again, it is a season that I've honestly only skimmed through once, but the crossover itself was definitely, for me, more memorable than the series itself. And I do wonder, I guess my thing would be, I personally am not going to let just a crossover event dictate how I felt about an entire series. So just because I really love the crossover event doesn't make me, at least personally, feel like I enjoyed the series as a whole. You know what I mean, Stuart?
Mhm.
But what did you think? Did you think it's an underrated season?
No, I'm not a big fan of this season either. I think on paper, Operation Overdrive is one of the more creative seasons out there, and I think if it had been handled better, and I'm not even trying to say like the showrunners fucked up.
Right.
I'm saying like there were just too many things going against it. I think like, you know, the scheduling for TV productions was what went against them a lot, and then same with like, you know, the very low budget. Because yeah, the show just was really cheap for what they were trying to accomplish, and that season has the worst editing in any Power Ranger season. It's so hard for me to watch the fight scenes in that season, because like everything that people make fun of when it comes to like the Cal explosions, you know, it's so much worse in Operation Overdrive. Like everything about like a lot of the fight scenes, if it's the original fight scenes in Operation Overdrive, they're snooze fest. Like the stock footage is the only good fight scenes, and even then it's edited so poorly that you can't even enjoy it as much as you would have if you were watching the Sentai.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And just to explain, like for Adam at least, you know, we're definitely not trying to crap on your enjoyment. Like,
Yeah, no, definitely not.
If you enjoyed Operation Overdrive, that's fantastic. Like, we're not out here trying to change your mind or saying you're wrong because we think this way. No, I'm sure you're not the only person. Trust me when I say that. Actually, appreciates Operation Overdrive and thinks it's probably more the most underrated season. So, if it's a series that you love, man, keep loving it. I'm glad it certainly hit you that way. We're just explaining how it certainly hit us. But you do make some good points, man. You do definitely make some good points. Francois, what's up, Francois? He says, what do you think of the director of the DC's League of Superhero Vets revealing how different Keanu Reeves' version of Batman in the animated series? He said that this particular version of Batman is haunted and crazy. As any other Batman, he kicks butt while dealing with creepy stuff. Keanu, as the voice actor, makes the character so intriguing. Would you like it if Keanu played a creepy version of Batman if they were ever to ask him to play a live action Batman from a different universe? You know, that's funny that you bring that up, Francois, because I think, was it last week? No, not last week. Maybe 2-3 weeks ago, Stuart. We literally had this conversation. Keanu Reeves talked about, while doing a press tour for, I think at the premiere for League of Super Pets, that it was, he mentioned, and I quote, that it's been a dream for him to actually play Batman at some point in time. He even suggested the idea of playing like an older version of a Batman if that was ever an opportunity at some point in time. And you know, I haven't seen the movie League of Super Pets, so I don't really know what type of role Keanu Reeves has for it. But I said before, Stuart, I know we've got ourselves a lot of freaking Batman, but I never really considered the idea of Keanu Reeves as a Bruce Wayne or a Batman until he put it out there in the world. And now I kind of can't unsee it. I kind of would like, I know Zack Snyder kind of did his elements of, was it the Dark Knight Returns comic book
Mhm.
series?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that kind of version of a Batman, but with Keanu Reeves as either a standalone or its own Elseworld sort of thing. I would be up. I would be open for it. I would be open for it
See, last week I think I agreed with you, but
this
this
week.
week,
That's right.
this
Is it
week
just
I
because we
think
just talked
my
about Ben Affleck?
no. I
Okay.
think it's actually because of the way he worded the question by mentioning this Batman being creepy. My mind went to the version of Batman who's literally a vampire. So now I'm thinking I want Keanu Reeves to play a vampire Batman
I
because
love it.
everyone makes jokes about how he doesn't age and he already seems like he's a vampire because of that.
I love it. That's a good one. Yeah, for me, yeah, my thing definitely wouldn't be so much creepy as he is more like a recluse or like he's just been through the ringer. You know what I mean? He's just got a completely different mindset. But yeah, I definitely get what you're getting at. Let's see here. We also have Adrian. What's up, Adrian? He says, hello. Hope you're all doing well for the 30th anniversary season of Power Rangers. Considering it may be a much shorter season, like 8 to 12 episodes with a 40-minute time length, which is very new when it comes to Power Rangers. Here's what I hope the structure of the season goes. We get introduced to a new team and how they get their powers. If the rumors were to come true of the character Yen being the daughter of Trini, and we learn about what happened to her since the peace conference, and Yen has become the embodiment of MMPR. Each episode has to do with Yen and why she and the team were chosen to become Rangers. The final episode, if David Yost does return as Billy, he will be the key to connecting everything. We learn about what he's been up to since Zeo, and fingers crossed other veterans who return are from different seasons and eras. Classic Saban, Disney, Neo Saban, and Hasbro. The finale would be to bring everyone together to fight the enemy threat and honor Trini's legacy. What do you think about that?
I mean, I really love that pitch. I don't have any specific ideas of what I want the 30th anniversary to be. It like depends on the direction they go. I just want like whatever direction they choose, they commit to it and they don't try to like half-ass it the way they did with Megaforce.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, I'm all on board with that, Adrian, for sure. I think if I were to change anything from me personally, I don't necessarily know if I need a new team. I'm cool with Yen really being the only new member to
Mhm.
Power Rangers. If they are going to make up the rest of the team, I would like the rest of the team to consist of other Rangers from past seasons, like you mentioned. So not a new team and Yen, and then introducing different seasons and eras. I want them to be a part of the team already, and Yen really being the only newcomer. And I think that could work also too, Stuart, in regards to your idea of, hey, this newcomer trying to be our leader. You know what I mean? If they go the
Yeah.
Juru route, because you've got these other characters that have that experience, but with Yen possibly being the daughter of Trini, I think that's a lot of pressure on her too, right?
Yeah. In fact, okay, so usually when you do this story trope, you always have one veteran that's like trying to support the newcomer, and then one who's just like, oh man, this person can't be telling me what to do. Okay, if you can think of it right now, and if not, don't worry, we can like kind of discuss this one later. If you had to choose one to be all for her being the new leader and one completely against her being the new leader, which Rangers would you choose?
Oh,
You can think
Billy.
of it.
I would
Oh,
hope. Well, yeah. If you mean like actual characters that we've seen so far, I was just gonna say I think Billy would certainly help that coming back and putting that stamp of approval on Yen for the rest of the team. Like, oh shit, this is the original Blue Ranger. We gotta listen to his ass.
yeah.
Maybe something along those lines. But any other supporters, shit, give me Izzy or Amelia.
But I mean,
Who
like,
you?
who do you think would be a supporter, or not like even supporter, but someone on the team that would be against her leading,
Oh God.
like a previous Ranger? Because I'm going with Jason for that one. I feel like if Jason is involved in any way, he'd probably be the one being like, "Wait, she's leading the team?
Oh, you think so, huh?
Maybe, yeah." Either her or either him, or if they want to get creative and get non-Rangers on the team, I could also go with Blaze.
Ooh, yeah. Well, look, Blaze felt some type of way about Devin, but then Devin became leader, and then they just became buddy buddy out of nowhere. Like there was no more pushback. He's like, "Yeah, you're a pretty good leader. That's cool."
Yeah. Which is why, like, he could definitely change his mind at the end of the season, but it'd be kind of cool if he was like an obstacle for her in the very beginning, like not fully on board with her being the leader.
No, I feel you there. I feel you there. Jackson P. Wait, did I? Oh, here we go. Robert Buena. What were some of your favorite Power Rangers headcanons and theories? Mine was that Quantum Rangers' powers were the first in the next line of Time Force Rangers, but due to them being lost in the past, the project was scrapped. This explains why Quantum Ranger looked like West Red Ranger suit. If the project had continued, we would get 4 new colors to mirror the main Time Force Rangers. We actually had an episode, Quantum Secrets, where Eric and the Biolab were testing the Quantum Ranger's powers, but was too advanced to continue due to the technology being used from the 31st century.
Yeah, I like that theory. I like the headcanon theory that the technology from Time Force and the Silver Guardians helped influence SPD later on, and that's why when we see Scott, no, not Scott, Sky's dad. Sorry, there are so many names in this show that my mind can never keep track of all of them. When we see Sky's dad, he's in the same costume as the Red Time Force Ranger. Even though it's definitely not supposed to be Wes. So that's my favorite headcanon to go by, is that like they influenced SPD going forward.
I think both of those. Jackson Peterson, did you hear that Eric Wallace, who is the current showrunner of the Flash series, revealed that he hopes that Barry and Iris start conceiving Barry and Nora before the end of the series? He stated many times since season 7 that each season going forward, he prepares every season as if it were the last. He has no idea when the series will come to a conclusion. When the series finally concludes, do you think it will have the same impact as Arrow's final 8th season, though Arrow also had to work with Crisis on Infinite Earth's crossover? Go ahead.
I don't know, and I say that because like it sounds like the CW is working a lot less with the Arrowverse like they used to. Like they would do whatever they could to make sure the showrunners could get their vision through. And it really sounds like they're not doing that anymore. And with DC themselves kind of like having a lot of other things to worry about, I feel like it's going to be a very satisfying conclusion for the Flash, but it's not going to be a satisfying conclusion for the Arrowverse as a whole.
I understand what you're saying there. I do think that it will have the same impact as Arrow's final season. I know the Arrowverse has significantly changed, but considering that the Flash is really like the last remnants of what we have, I'm really hoping that Eric Wallace at least ends that series on a big note. I do think regardless, it's going to be emotional. It's going to be very much another closing of the chapter, very much like we've already seen with a couple of them already. But I think the Flash, who's been just as important of a character as Arrow, may not necessarily go out on a big crossover event, but I do think his final season will be impactful enough and just be a very emotional sort of farewell. So I think it will have its own similar impact in its own way. Emmanuel, what's up, Emmanuel? Appreciate you coming through. How do you feel about the Lightning collection? I don't really have an opinion on a Lightning collection. I'm not really a action figure collector. I know they've been a little bit slow in regards to rolling out some waves or at least completing collections that they've had. So I do hope that they at least get the opportunity to finish doing that. But overall, I'm a fan of the articulation at least. Because of the fact that I'm not that big of a collector, the little nuances of paint colors not necessarily being the brightest or things being different colors or the sculpts being a little bit off, like that type of stuff doesn't really bother me as much as it does other fans, like their quality assurance, if you will. But again, I'm just not that big of a collector. I mean, I think they look cool. What about you, Stuart?
The ones that I have, I personally really enjoy. I think the issue I have with the Lightning collection, like you kind of mentioned, just with the collections or with the teams that don't end up getting completed, or I think I do think there is a little bit more when it comes to kind of some of the male members of the team than there are the females. And I say that when it comes to specifically completing teams, because it feels like, for example, Dino Charge. It's like, okay, we got all the guys. So can we please get Sheila and the Purple Ranger, whose name I totally didn't forget, Miss Morgan. you know. So there's a few issues I have with that, but for me it doesn't affect me personally because I only collect the ones that like I really like. So I only currently have like kind of the Shadow Ranger, I got the Red Dino Charge, and then Power Rangers in Space, a few others, but you know, I don't keep up with all of them. I just come up with the ones that really look cool and are based on characters that I personally really enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. I've been wanting to at least pick up one or two of them, but I just never have. Carlo Bernardo, do you think Beast Morphers should have taken place in the RPM universe instead of the main timeline? Honestly, take a look back at Go Busters. Those writers were obviously RPM fans and basically pried for it to be a sequel to RPM. Plus, imagine how cool it would be to see a post-Vengeance world and humanity rebuilt. And how the series operators are doing today. I also think Nate was a wasted opportunity to make him the son of Dr. K and Ziggy. Would also be a nice nod to the fact that the actors Dr. K and Ziggy were married in real life. This would have even made the actual scene in Beast Morphers of Nate and Dr. K more powerful. I know some fans would argue that Beast Morphers itself was a lighthearted or childish season of Power Rangers because it was on Nickelodeon. What do you think, Stuart? Would you like that taking the place in the RPM universe, or you liked the way it was?
That would have been interesting.
Mhm.
I will correct you on this. Power Rangers is a lot more lighthearted, not because of Nickelodeon, but because of Saban. And because with Beast Morpher, Saban still had his foot in it. Like Simon Bennett would mention during interviews that like they had like a few other plans to expand characters, but like Saban's like, no, kids don't care about character development. Don't do that. Yeah, just wanted to make that correction there. But yeah, I think that would have been kind of cool to have like a full season in that universe. There was actually a pitch by Amit Bamit, who did the Wild Force season, and he was going to retcon essentially for Go Busters adaptation. He was going to retcon the idea that RPM was in another universe, and instead he was going to change it so it was the world that they discovered at the very end of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, and then that way they could reuse some characters from both Lost Galaxy and Power Rangers RPM within this adaptation. I'm not surprised it didn't get picked up because it sounded a bit too ambitious, you know. But regardless, it was kind of a cool pitch. So the idea of it actually taking place in that universe, you know, so taking away the whole like you know, retcon element, having it take place in that universe also could have been a really cool, ambitious idea for a season.
Yeah, the potential of that certainly would have been pretty impressive. I wouldn't have minded if it took place in the RPM universe, but for me, I didn't mind it. I think the idea of continuing to add on to the multiverse or at least separate dimensions and stuff, I think really helped out Power Rangers in that sense. It maybe opened up the door for a lot more opportunities than we haven't really had before. So I'm okay with the direction that they certainly went, but I understand if people wanted it differently. The most talented man in the world. I suck my own balls as a question or a comment. He says, please read this. It is my birthday this Sunday. Well, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday, balls. Good to see you. What if Zane actually became a Silver Psycho Ranger? Zane was captured when he and Andros were fighting Dark Spectre's forces of their home planet KO-35. We learned that there were actually 4 former Space Rangers who were killed in battle. Battle was so intense that they didn't make it. Zane was killed, but his body was taken by Dark Spectre by the Psycho Rangers. Zane was infused with Dark Spectre's powers that he was turned into Psycho Silver with little memory of his human self. Zane goes off to kill Andros so he could remove any connection from his past life. We later learned this Zane's monster form was similar to a monster that killed the original Space Rangers months before the Turbo Rangers arrived. Andros later learns he's been fighting Zane the whole time, but Zane's personality starts getting through. Andros brutalizes Zane to the brink of death in order to save his life. He quickly takes him to the megaship and puts him in a cryogenic freeze. This encounter made Andros so upset that he promised Zane that he will never put anyone in harm's way again, and that's how Andros was such a loner when Turbo Rangers joined the team.
I think you got a real solid pitch for a Boom Studios comic book right there. Like that would make a really awesome graphic novel, and I would totally read that.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. That's actually pretty badass. That would fit it with continuity pretty well.
Yeah.
Power Rangers Legacy. So yeah, thank you very much for that. We appreciate that one. Why I'm worried about the future of Power Rangers after 30th anniversary. We eventually get Hasbro's all original Power Ranger Netflix series after the 30th anniversary. How confident are you that this will make Power Ranger franchise go back to the mainstream? If critics and general reviewers hate the new series just because it's Power Rangers, won't Netflix see this and cancel all future Power Ranger projects on there? Sad to say, Power Rangers is a really big gamble, and it doesn't matter that most longtime fans will enjoy the new series. It all comes down to critics and reviewers. This is why I'm in the vocal minority who isn't a fan of Power Rangers eventually going back to the mainstream. I don't want critics to destroy what I love, Stuart.
I don't think critics are fully gonna. I mean, yeah, they definitely have a voice, and people who watch those critics will listen to that voice, and that'll be what affects the numbers. But I mean, as long as the viewership is there, and that's where it's up to us as Power Rangers fans, man. We got to go out there. We got to tell our friends, hey, man, or don't do it now because obviously there isn't like a trailer out. We don't even know what this show is going to be like. But once it gets in development, start bringing it up to your friends and families out there. Say, hey, there's this new reboot, and it looks like it's going to take this series into a whole new, like, really fascinating, mature direction. I recommend it. Just start trying to hype up. We're definitely going to be doing that on this channel. That's what I think it all comes down to. And then if it ends up being really good, if it ends up being something that people could connect to, it doesn't matter what the critics say about it. It's not going to bring the entire franchise down because the critics don't like it. As long as the fans watch it, as long as the numbers are up. Netflix cares a lot more about the numbers than they do about the reviews. If they cared about reviews, they would stop making those really, really bad movies based on like that one website where people write blogs and they write short stories and then they try to make full-length features out of them. So like movies like Kissing Booth, those kind of things. If they cared about reviews, they wouldn't be making movies like that, but they don't. They care about numbers, and young people love those movies. So
yeah, and I think just to bounce off of what you were saying, he says, how confident are you that this will make Power Ranger franchise go back to mainstream? I think the fact of it just being on Netflix definitely makes it mainstream again, just because of the fact that you've got millions of subscribers to Netflix, and it's also an international base too. So you're immediately putting this out in front of fans all over again, where I do feel like Power Rangers was initially kind of hidden on Nickelodeon, so this will thrust Power Rangers sort of back into the mainstream. As far as like how good it's going to be, look, I mean, I know we're all worried. I mean, anytime things are changed, and there's always going to be a legit sense of worry for people. But I agree with Stuart. I think regardless of what the critics say, listen, I think if anything, judge the series for yourself. Critics certainly may say one thing, but trust me when we say there are plenty of times then the viewers do not agree with the critics at all. And I think the idea of word of mouth truly does come into play. I mean, if you think it's a good series, us as Power Ranger fans, that's our duty. If we enjoy the series, it's on us to go ahead and spread the word and talk about it on a weekly basis to bring sort of new fans in also. Is there a sense that, Power Rangers could fail and it not work out and be a big gamble? A big gamble? Absolutely. But that's the job of Hasbro, to sort of find the creative voices, whether that be the showrunners, the directors, the writers, to make Power Rangers in such a way that it does appeal to the mainstream. I mean, if people are worried about, hey, we're just going to get Power Rangers as is, and that's going to be thrown onto Netflix for a new season, then yeah, maybe I would be a little bit more worried. But I think the idea that they are putting people into position that have done show running work before, that know how to certainly tell stories, it's a different Power Rangers than what people expected or had in the past. And so is it always a gamble or risk? Absolutely. But I think Hasbro's hopefully putting Power Rangers into a much better position to make it acceptable through mainstream than just giving us the same formulaic stuff that we've had on Power Rangers and asking people to digest that and allow that to be popular again. That I think is going to be a struggle to make it mainstream and popular again. So we'll see what Hasbro and them definitely do in regards to changing things around. And last but not least, Kurt Marino. What do you hope to see in Captain America 4 that would blow your mind? And would you not want to see happen or at least be altered from the comics? Two things I would like to see, Stuart. I want to see a new Falcon. I want to see that Torres kid back. Maybe pick up a mantle and become the new Falcon to the new Captain America. And then I also would like to see Steve Rogers return, very similar, like his old Steve Rogers, as maybe a new member of Shield, trying to kind of help out in a certain aspect. Also, heck, maybe even a Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson battle, Stuart. An old Steve Rogers that while he's gotten older, maybe he's got a little bit of something in him to be able to keep up with Sam Wilson. I don't know if it would be like a battle for I don't know if it would be a battle for the Captain America shield, but who knows? That might be too much of a leap, but definitely give me an older Steve Rogers in here and a new Captain America. What about you?
Man, I definitely can't see like our MCU Captain America ever like wanting to battle with Sam Wilson.
You're right. You're right.
But I could definitely see like a clone of Captain America,
Yep.
or something else, wanting to battle Sam Wilson. Captain America from an old Hydra Captain America. Yes. Okay, actually, that is something they could totally do. That would blow my mind. Is if they went with the Hydra storyline with Chris Evans, Captain America, and they kept that so secret it wasn't even in the trailer. Like we didn't actually get that until the movie itself.
That would be bananas, bro.
Yes.
That would be bananas. Yeah, so those are some of the ones that I would like to see. Maybe even some flashback sequences of God damn it, what was the gentleman's name? The Black Captain America.
Oh, it was
was it John? It wasn't John Smith, was it? Was it John?
Wait, wasn't it Isaiah something?
Isaiah, yes, Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah,
Isaiah Bradley. Maybe some flashback sequences of him in his prime. I think that would be pretty cool to kind of see in Captain America 4 too.
Oh my God, yeah, that would be really sick.
and Hulk Hogan with a NWO shirt on for life.
Get some Captain America and Martian Manhunter action going on.
I just want the NWO theme to at least play one time in this movie, whether that be somehow integrated into the theme of Captain America 4 or just randomly. I need to hear the NWO theme.
I'm sure they can find a way to make it happen.
But yeah, man, definitely a ton of possibilities, especially with the writer of Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming back to tackle Captain America 4. So plenty of stuff to certainly enjoy. Datilla does have a random comment, says, also, what are your thoughts on Kat Dennings tweeting, oh no, I think I love WWE. Kat Dennings, she played Darcy, right? In I believe that's who plays Darcy in the MCU. I love me some Kat Dennings. I truly do. I want her back all the time if that's her. And I haven't watched SummerSlam, but from what I have seen, it's pretty entertaining from what I've seen so far. So I don't know if she came on to WWE for SummerSlam or if she never watched wrestling before, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Could have just been one of those things where like kind of what happens with me all the time. My friends want to watch wrestling and I always love watching wrestling with them. I love seeing how much they get into it and then it makes me get into it. So it's like it could have been a similar situation with her. She had friends over who were like, let's watch WWE, and she was like, okay, sure. And then by the end of it, she's like, I'm in love with this.
Yeah, it's just a giant male soap opera, and I think she would love something like that. But yeah, man, Kat Dennings, MCU, WWE, connected. Boom, confirmed. All right.
Here's the thing: WWE is connected to the DC universe. There was there was this animated movie. It was a Scooby-Doo WWE movie with John Cena in it, and there was just this weird frame where you just see many people across the world watching wrestling, and for some weird fucking reason, same art style, same character models, you just see like the characters from Young Justice watching it, like they're outside of their costumes, but it's the characters from Young Justice, and it makes no sense. Like it's nothing DC related happens in this movie. They're just there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So DC is connected to the WWE universe, confirmed. So is Scooby-Doo.
Oh God. And then last but not least, so Rob, going back to She-Hulk, just says, to be honest, Jamila Jamil's costume, while 100 times more practical compared to her costume from the comics and a few animated shows, still quite outlandish in regards to her, what is it, Titania, I believe is who she's playing in the comics as like one of the nemesis to She-Hulk. It's funny, I think I just read an interview with her too, where she talks about the idea that she is an extremely annoying character in this series. So I am kind of curious to see how this muscle-bound Titania will hold up when it comes to the series. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it. But guys, that will wrap up our live viewer question segment for today's episode. So thank you very much, one and all, for certainly joining us once again for another brand new episode of A Plus Hero Report. We certainly will be back next week for you guys with a brand new episode. So certainly join us every Sunday live at noon Central Time. If you haven't joined our Discord, please go ahead and do so. There is a link in the description box below. It's a fantastic time for us to grow as a community and a great way for us to continue to communicate outside of our YouTube channel. So join our Discord forum community. We talk about a plethora of things, not just Power Rangers, Marvel, or DC, but other things as well. Certainly go ahead and check us out over there. And if you do have an audio, if you enjoy audio versions, we are currently on Spotify. You can go ahead and check us out. There is another link in the description box below. You might be able to, you might even be able to find us over on Apple Music as well, ladies and gentlemen. So certainly try and look for A Plus Hero Report there as well. Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, where can they find you, sir?
You guys can reach out to me at TurboStew01 over on Twitter and on Instagram.
Excellent, man, as always. And of course, guys, if you want to follow us on social media, very active up here at A Plus Opinions over on our main Facebook page. Definitely go ahead and check that out, guys. And you can follow us on Instagram as well as Twitter as well, ladies and gentlemen. But that's going to do it for us here today. We'll certainly see you next week with a bunch of new topics to talk about. We've got some great content for you guys dropping this week also. So definitely stay tuned. But until then, do me a big favor as always, guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.